How does he sound, Joel?
How do I sound, Joel?
Joel, your position in the weekly poll depends on you giving an answer here. How does he sound?
Right, Joel. How do I sound?
Joel.
Do it.
God damn it!
Shut up, Joel, and welcome back to the poll.
I hope you people appreciate he wouldn't have started the show if I didn't.
Hold on. Now, what do you mean, you people?
You guys,
Oh!
talking.
What do you mean? What do you mean, you people, Joel?
You know exactly what I
Did you
mean.
just reference Rob and Caitlin's African Americanness?
Yeah.
I'm like Stephen Colbert. I don't
peopleness.
see race. People tell me I'm white. I tend to believe them.
All right, guys. Well, as usual, I am one of your hosts, currently a DX Racer chair. They still have not given me money for showing off this logo, but here it is. I am Comicstorian, now one with his chair. Directly to my right is Caped Joel, apparently, because I'm too lazy to fix the things, but that's actually Rob.
Yeah, it's workplace bullying, Benny. It's workplace bullying what you're doing with Joel right now.
Well,
I'm gonna file an HR complaint to our, once we get an HR department.
I'm HR, dude. Go ahead and file that complaint.
Yeah.
Or be the HR department. He's very, very adept. Look, he's handling complaints right now. Look at all the complaints.
Is
Hey,
he
dog.
licking his balls again?
He's not looking at his balls. He's
And the
listening
individual
to-
currently under the moniker of Comic Pop, even though she is 100% not Comic Pop, is Caitlin, that sea monster. And then last on our roster is the Comics Explained, apparently, even though it's not. It's actually Kate Joel.
What I want to do here today is take Rob's place in the thing. Is what I want.
Man,
to
you
do
do not sound anything like me, man.
You gotta go deeper with it.
So what I want to do here today.
That's not how
I take
sound.
HR very seriously. You may put all of your workplace harassment complaints into the box in front of my office. Just come right on down to Colorado.
Man, that's a good system.
Drop them in the box and they will be looked at some point in time.
I'm Sea Monster Pop now. Can we just call
Sea Monster Pop?
Yeah.
In the words of Rob, Benny apparently does not give no fucks today because I don't even want to sit up.
Yeah, Benny doesn't even care.
But check
Benny-
out my
Benny-
tattoo. Oh, you know
That
what?
tattoo was pretty awesome, though. I actually got to see it in person, guys. I saw the tattoo in person, and it's
Hold on.
like a Harry Potter picture. The tattoos
But
move.
look at this one, Rob.
Did you
Ready?
touch it?
Ready? Remember that Pokemon one? Remember the Pokemon tattoo on my leg?
Yeah, I remember that tattoo.
Posting it. How could we not? You've been posting about it.
Hold on, I'm trying to.
Yeah, man, show those crusty ass feet on the live stream.
Good job getting your legs up nice and high there, Benny.
Wow.
You need a pedicure
That is
before
cool.
you go into stripping, Benny.
This
Oh,
is a different
have
kind
you
of
ever seen Benny's feet? He needs a lot more than a pedicure. He needs a miracle. It's unreal.
It's fucking Wolverine to come in there with some adamantine.
Oh,
He needs
right.
he needs a lizard and a lava bath.
Adamantium nail clippers. That's exactly what he needs.
All right, guys. I guess I'll sit up.
Hey, welcome to the world of giving a damn.
Don't feel
I
forced to.
guess I'll sit up. You know that video, Not Giving a Fuck? Where it's like, now featuring Nick Nolte.
Oh,
And practically perfected not giving a fuck.
All right, guys. So
he gave so little of a fuck. He
shut
destroyed
up,
his life.
Rob. Because right now you're Joel, so you got to take all the Joel blunting.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. You're Joel.
Should I be really concerned with everything and mildly ranty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just be cynical about everything's bad.
Why is my camera so weird? Like, I have to be back here to look normal. Like, otherwise I'm like, hi, everyone.
It just shows like your eyes up. That's awesome.
Hello.
Oh my god.
What are you doing?
There's the look you see before you die.
Dude, the comics this week were fucking amazing.
Right, so we're
They
just going to go
were.
ahead and start right at the top of them because we have a lot of comics to go over, and that's why we're starting early. So, everyone, let's talk about Action Comics.
Good
Talk about
stuff.
Action Comics. Let's talk about Action Comics. Man, let me tell you, man, let me tell you something, son.
And
Tell you
man,
something, son. Like, all right. Benny sent out this email and he was like, "Hey guys, send me a video telling me who you think won the summer, Marvel or DC." You know,
Nice cross
and
promotion.
and yeah, nice cross promotion. And I had to hold back, man, because let me tell you something right now, man. Like I saw it. Like,
yeah,
I was,
man.
dude, I was on
Man.
Reddit and people were like, "Yeah, like this just monster amazing list of all the titles that DC or that Marvel's putting out." You know, I was like, there ain't no list. That list is 4 things long. All right, they have like Captain America, Steve Rogers, The Ultimate, The Vision, which is ending, and like Black Panther. All right, they have like 4 good titles. Action Comics had told a better story in 2 issues than like almost all the titles that Marvel's done so far. Like, actually, dude, this story Back at the Planet was nothing like what I thought it was going to be. I knew it was probably going to be about Lois Lane going back to the planet. I knew it wasn't going to be Superman because he can't be Clark Kent. But this is one of the most amazing things that I've seen.
It was really outside the box.
Dude, it was so good. So good.
No, I really loved the way they wrapped this up, and I love how there's questions that aren't answered yet in in Action Comics 966. We still don't know who the Clark Kent is or a lot of the ties and stuff. But we're not just dragging them out forever and a day, hoping to eventually get the answers. You know, we're getting to it now. It's actually happening. And they're doing it, and they're not wasting our time. So they're like, oh, who's Clark Kent? Well, you're going to find that out later. Here's some answers. You know, who is... who's Lois Lane and how's she going to handle this? Boom, we're going to answer that right now. She's going right back to work. What's going on with Lana? Well, that's over here, crossover potential.
It's nice to see them repair the legacy of Lois Lane right after repairing the legacy of older Superman, to be like, okay, now she's back to being the Lois you remember, working at the planet, getting the scoops, getting the stories, and more so, keeping an eye on Lex Luthor, who now owns the planet, which I think is a nice touch.
Yeah.
That was so good. And even the way they had her take vaporized Lana's place was pretty.
No, you can go. They said I sounded like I was far away from my mic. I was trying to get in the camera, but it's like...
It was pretty tactful.
Hello.
That's a good word to describe it, tactful.
Tactful. Yeah. So tactful.
How is everyone
much
doing?
tact.
It was some good shit.
It was good shit.
But no, okay, so here was the deal. All right. It was only a matter of time, right? With Lois Lane.
Oh,
it was only ever a matter of time. Like, pre-New 52 Lois Lane is there with pre-New 52 Superman. She wasn't going to be a housewife forever. No one ever thought that she was going to sit at home and have dinner ready for Superman when he gets home, you know, and teach Clark Kent about how to grow up. Like, that's Superman's thing. Like, Lois Lane is the reporter, does whatever it takes to get the story. Do what?
We all called that pretty early on, too, when we were talking about married couples and people were like, well, what about Superman and Lois? This is working out. And we were like, no. She's going back to the field. You just wait. And right when Superwoman, that first Superwoman rebirth hit, I was like, and one of these Loises is gonna get done.
Oh yeah, you knew right away somebody was gonna die.
Well, the ironic thing is, I had never read an issue of Superwoman, so like I'm jumping on and I'm reading Action Comics, and I'm just like, because I was sitting there thinking, I was like, they never did explain what happened to Lois Lane. Like, she just vanished all of a sudden. I was
shocked. It was kind of funny to see your reaction, because you were like writing to us as you were reading it.
Yeah, and then like I called Sal and I was like, all right, give me the scoop on this. He's like, yeah, man, like she became one of the Superwomen and then she died. And I was like, what? Simple.
And then she died.
It was a great fake out, because she was on the cover of all the Superwoman books, and you're like, okay, so she must be the Superwoman. Then you pick up that first issue and, oh shit, Lana has powers too.
Yeah. Like, you knew one of them had to go.
That was a great psych out. I did like that one. But overall, like, we're gonna keep moving because we have a lot of comics to cover today. Because this was a huge week on top of them all being good.
Yep.
Okay, so Action Comics is amazing, guys. It does wrap up this current arc, but this arc is only 2 issues long. So if you pick up 965 and 966, you can check out this arc. That brings us over to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 10. I don't even know why I bought this. Anyone read it?
Man, I got tired of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really fast. I mean, you know, I care about the TV show. I don't care about the comic tie-in.
Same.
It didn't do anything for me.
Which is weird, because the comic is just the show if it had an infinite budget.
Basically.
All right. Anyone else read all new, all different Avengers Civil War II tie-in?
Not yet.
I have not had a chance to check that out yet.
Okay. That is actually a really good tie-in. So
really?
Thor goes up to the Rainbow Bridge, Bifrost, and asks Heimdall, since he can see into the future, can he just tell her what's going to happen and his opinions on this whole situation?
Clever.
And he tells her a story of why he can't do that, of a story of the original Avengers and how they had a very similar situation. But because he told them the future, he predetermined something was going to happen.
I don't remember that. When did that happen?
It's like one of those, you didn't know this happened kind of a thing.
An off-panel thing? Yeah.
Right. So basically, they tell a story about the original Avengers coming together to stop Doctor Doom, and Heimdall tells them that if they go and stop Doctor Doom, they'll win the battle, but he will win the war. So they go and they're like, and Thor's like, haha, because it's funny, because Thor's even like, I'm trying to impress my new Avenger friends, Heimdall. Tell me, can you send me to the battle? We will win this if you're what you're saying is true. So he's like, I'm telling you, Thor, you're not going to win this. And he's like, oh, we will win this, Heimdall. So
Every time you say Thor, my dog keeps coming over to the edge of the bed.
Nice.
So Thor. No, but so anyway, he teleports them down. They fight against Doom, and it's one of those situations where, like, by defeating Doom, a political mess is started, and Doom wins, and the country they were saving annexes over. So, and what his lesson is that basically, if you explain what's going to happen in the future, you're basically causing the future to happen. So it's actually a really good tie-in by basically being a similar story, but we don't have to actually tie it directly in.
Yeah, which is good. And like, man, look, here's the deal.
Well, and one of the best lines ever comes at the ending, and it's not even like a really spoiler, but he asks Thor, he's like, I know you're Jane Foster, and I know you're going to be dying of cancer soon. Would you like to know the date so you can prepare?
Wow.
And first thing she responds with is, how did you wait? Of course you knew I was Jane Foster.
Man, I knew that. I knew that shit was coming, man. I knew as soon as Jason Aaron, man, when he was like, Jane Foster's going to be Thor, I was like, now, wait a minute, home slice. Jason Aaron, now, wait a minute, man. Like, this chick got cancer. She's on a clock. And he was like, well, not only is she on a clock, whenever she becomes Thor, like that chemotherapy gets wiped out. And I'm like, so then she's not going to be Thor forever, which means that Odin's son is coming back, baby. Yeah. Yes.
But he basically gives her like that, and then she responds with, no, based upon your own logic, if you tell me the date, I'm going to die and I can't fight against it.
I can't deal with this cancer plot because my feels like I was ready for it. I knew it right when Jane Foster became Thor, but it's just one of those things where it keeps hitting me right in the feels every time they bring it up. And when they brought up how it worked and how it wipes out the chemo and how, you know, being an Asgardian, it does prevent the cancer from spreading, but she can't be Thor all the time. I was like, no.
Because the world needs Jane Foster too, which I thought was a nice touch.
Well, the great thing is that, like, with Jason Aaron's writing, because he focuses on character, when Jane Foster dies, man, it's gonna be the saddest story there ever was.
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, yeah.
The only thing that bothers me with this whole cancer Thor plot, like, the whole point of her argument is that she's going to fight this as a human because she wants to show that not everyone has the access to the magic, and I get that. But now she's Thor, so she can't fight it as a human. So why hasn't she accepted the blatantly obvious Asgardian offers to help?
Because she's also needing to advocate for humanity in the World Council is the thing, too. That was the other thing that she went for. There's people depending on her.
Was, like, I'm going to deal with this like a human, but she can't.
Well, but see, that is a really good point, too, because even now, like right now, with the whole, like, the realm, the thing around, you have, well, at least, I don't know how many of you guys how far are you guys into the Mighty Thor?
Up to date.
I'm up to date.
Okay.
Thor, yeah.
So you know what's going on. You know what's going on with like the whole subplot with Loki and Freya.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. So like we know that like Loki looked like he was part of the Dark Council with Malekith, but he's not really. You know, we know like all those things are going on. But the fact remains here that she doesn't have nearly as much power or strength as she did in the Council of Realms or the Congress of Realms when Thor first brought her in. So it almost seems like Jason Aaron's giving himself an out, but he's not taking it, which is kind of weird. So I guess
Caitlin, real quick, are you on your normal mic or did it switch? Do you have a different mic? Because for some reason you keep peaking when you do talk, and I'm not sure why.
I am not totally sure why either. I'm using my usual mic because here, let me just make sure
my
reduce
the gain just a little. Then maybe that's what the issue is.
Yeah, here. Let me double check
because you're peaking, and for some reason my computer keeps freezing the cameras. Like everything's going fine, everyone's voice carries, but we keep freezing cameras, and I don't know why. I'm not sure what's going
on. How is that? Is that better?
Yeah, normally I hear it peak a couple times when you're talking through a topic. And the reason I was asking now is because my assumption is you've read Batgirl, and that's the next one on the list.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I wanted to make sure before, Caitlin, you have the floor that you're not peaking the whole way through the discussion.
Oh yeah, no, that makes. It turned out I was
you're
using.
Still going through it right now. What was it?
Really? I just changed mics. Ooh.
Well, you fix that real quick, Rob. I know you still had a few more thoughts to say on the Thor situation.
Oh no! I mean, it's fine with me. I mean, I like Jason Aaron's doing. I mean, it really was only a matter of time. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is just kind of testing the waters. In truth, I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Aaron came back and said, instead of killing her off, like she's like, okay, you know what? Fine, I'll take the treatment. And so she's cured. She stays Thor, and Odin's son stays Thor, and then it works itself out somehow.
That's a theory, and if we have two hammers, how come the Thor book just might not become Thor's 2 and we'll have both of them? Maybe they'll rekindle their romance and see where that goes.
I have a feeling that's how it's going to end. They're going to resolve the cancer, and we're going to have two Thors. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Or we're going to have a really big tearjerker on our hands.
No, could go either way.
Or she is going to die and then get reborn as Perma-Thor.
Oh.
Cool.
That'd
also be interesting.
That'd be real cool.
I mean, just throw her into the Odin sleep. Just have her crash for like 1,000 years.
Batgirl. My assumption is, Caitlin, you've read... Oh, by the way, so anybody, if you are interested in all new and different Avengers and you want to see a classic Avengers tale, check that one out. It's a good solo issue because it's just Thor going up and asking Heimdall about the situation. So Batgirl. My assumption is you've read this one. I did, but I'm assuming you've been keeping up with it, Caitlin.
Yes, I have been keeping up with it. So, Batgirl, we basically find out what kind of shit Kai has gotten himself into. We're narrowing in on who the teacher is and what exactly the illegal substance that Kai has wrapped himself up in, and that's being transported all across East Asia is. And it's a neat mini story. I think it's kind of cool to just show how Batgirl is adjusting back to her role as Batgirl from Oracle. I think it's a nice transition story. It's not essential to the overarching Rebirth plot, though. There's no indicator so far that it's even essential to Birds of Prey yet. But the drug that they're tracking is like a super intelligence drug that, causes crazy-ass tumors and sweating and kind of turns you into a monster, basically.
Monster drugs.
I mean, you'd get the same effects from pulling an all-nighter, but instead you get this effect from taking a super drug that helps you study and get really smart. And in exchange for this drug, you apparently have to become an assassin.
I have a question about this series, actually. So I read issue 1,
Yes.
and I remember skimming issue 2. And then I didn't read issue 3, but I was like, oh, I should be safe to read issue 4. It's like missing one episode of your favorite show. I should be okay. So I just jumped into issue 4. I could have sworn Kai knew that Barbara was Batgirl in the first issue.
No, he did. I mean, they teased it. They teased that he might know, but then in the 4th issue...
He blatantly obviously does not know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, in the 3rd and the 4th issue, he completely does not know. Because there might have been maybe in the works that he knew the entire time and would come back later as an adversary to Batgirl, which I thought was what they were setting up for. I thought that would be kind of cool if they crossed the streams a little bit and he came back and, Birds of Prey as a villain, and I thought that's kind of what they were setting up for. But then he's like, no, I love Babs. My life is just a mess. And she's like, fix yourself. And then totally call her back. Yeah. And I was like, this is bullshit. I don't like this.
No, I don't like the romance in that one either. I thought it was very ham-fisted.
The romance turned me off before it even started. So I was already against it to begin with.
I was giving it a chance because I was thinking that they were gearing up to have him know who Batgirl already was. And maybe have him be, evil villain boyfriend. And I was like, I'm down for a plot like that. That sounds...
I mean, we already know in Birds of Prey she doesn't have a boyfriend, so it's kind of like we already know something's not going to work. So I was like, I don't care. Like, you're already telling the future stories, and no one's been like, hey, by the way, where's Kai at? Oh, he's still over in China.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where it's just kind of awkward and disappointing at the end. You're like, this is new and it's kind of like a bad relationship. This is new and this is really exciting, and then you're like 3 weeks into it and you're like, eh.
Okay, well, your mic is still peaking, so if you could figure that one up before we come back around to you, because the audience is not hearing it too. Now that I've drawn attention to it.
Well, see, all right. Here's my thing with Batgirl. Like this feels, and I guess we'll talk about this when we get to it. But this feels like Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns. It doesn't feel like it's part of Rebirth. It feels like it's wrapping things up and giving us a status quo. Like that's what it feels like with the character of Barbara Gordon in this story. It doesn't feel like I'm starting over. It feels like they're saying, hey, here's where things stand right now. Like here's where we are. And then Birds of Prey is where is the official Batgirl in DC Rebirth. Here's the direction things are going.
I would agree with you, except this is not linked at all to the previous plots.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is you have Batgirl, Birds of Prey. People associate Barbara Gordon with the character of Oracle, the traditional Oracle. I think it's giving people an idea, like a firm ground, especially new fans, where the character of Barbara Gordon stands in this moment with DC Rebirth. Because the issue was when they said we're taking what works with the pre-New 52 and we're taking what works with the New 52, people are going to think, well, Barbara Gordon was at her best when she was Oracle, when she was in a wheelchair, so on and so forth. We know that's not going to be the case, but the average comic reader doesn't know that.
The thing is, though, is that overall, DC Rebirth has managed to do this really and execute that very same thing, but with a really engaging, really cool story. This is just straight up mediocre, and it's been mediocre for the last 4 issues. And when you're lining it up to the rest of Rebirth, it just becomes disappointing.
I didn't hate it.
Batgirl and the Birds of Prey has been pretty good.
Yeah.
But this
I
has
like that more.
Yeah, no, and that's way better. But this, even for establishing the status quo, is just flat. It's two-dimensional. It's all these generic storyline. It's a generic plot, but not even in a we're going back to a classic and oldie but goodie way. It's just generic. And then the romance plot is completely shoehorned in for no reason. I mean, Kai doesn't have to be there for this story to work. He's just this weird appendage. And I'm like, just cut out the appendix. Why couldn't she have just gone backpacking by herself?
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
What's that?
It's this one in the new Superman, the Chinese Superman, that I'm just not feeling right now. I'm still reading all of Rebirth, like I said in my video that I put out a few days ago. But there's a couple books that I'm like, okay, after these first arcs, if there's no improvements, I'm probably going to be dropping these particular ones. So
Plus, let us not forget, too, Kai looks a lot like Benny. They have the same haircut, and that's distracting.
It's, yeah.
Hey,
Kai is
I
kinda
would
aged
totally have relations with Barbara Gordon.
Way to keep it clean there, Benny. Relations. Good job.
Keeping it family friendly, man.
All right, on that note, we're going to move over to Batman Beyond. And let me just pull a line from Rob here. Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you.
Let me tell you something, man.
Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something, man. Batman Beyond is so far interesting.
I mean, it's the return of the Joker, so.
Yeah, but we're already I don't know. It's
we got that in the animated movie or whatever it was.
we got a better telling of that in the animated movie, so I need to see where that's gonna go. But I feel like so initially, basically the whole story is showing that Terry is not 100% like he thought he was. He goes into fight, gets his ass kicked, goes to the side. So his answer is, all right, taking the Batman suit off, I'm gonna go incognito and blend in. Like, no, we waited. Like, I don't know how long for you to have this bat suit again. You just took it off.
Since goddamn Futures End. I'll tell you what the problem is. This series has the wrong writer. It's who's doing this? Is it Abnett who's doing this one?
Abnett's
I think so. Yeah.
Abnett's too old to give a fuck about Batman Beyond. He didn't wake up Saturday mornings to watch this cartoon like I did. They need to give it to a younger person. They had a great writer for the digital in Kyle Higgins, but apparently Kyle Higgins and DC don't speak anymore, even though they recycled some of the characters he made for the digital series for this new one. They needed to get a younger writer for this.
I'm on board to see where it's going to go now that we have Terry McGinnis, and I want to support this run because I really want this to do well. But the Rebirth hooked me. Issue 1, not at all.
Yeah, Rebirth was amazing. That was solid. But
Dan Jurgens is doing it, not Abnett.
I feel like picking up Terry's discarded bat suit on the floor and shoving it in his face and going, "You better fucking put it on.
Yeah.
We want you to put it on. Put on the damn bat suit."
This better not be 5 issues of him pretending to be a Joker, getting his groove back like Stella.
I don't want Stella Terry. I don't want Terry to go through some weird transformative undercover bullshit. I just want to see him as Batman for like a little bit. Just a little bit. Just give me something.
Right.
Does the costume still have red eyes too? I know that.
Yeah, still got the red eyes. What I would rather is him come back and be like, wow, I'm not ready for this. I can't go save Dana yet. Let me go on a quick 2-issue arc doing something else to train. Or, fuck it, training montage. Just Rocky this shit up.
Well, I mean, like to me, it's... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it actually reminds me a little bit of what they're doing with Batgirl, in that, like, we're going into this totally unnecessary, mediocre moment before we get to anything good.
Right.
Well, I thought they were just playing it safe. I mean, because when people think of like when people say like there's Batman Beyond, like what's the definitive Batman Beyond story to you? Most people will say the Return of the Joker.
Yeah,
like that's what a lot of
one.
people are going to say. And I think it was a safe bet. I think it's taking that concept, which is really popular, reworking it slightly, throwing it into a comic book, and then releasing it. Like that, I think it was a safe bet. Like we have Batman Beyond, instead of just creating something new that people are not going to like or may not like, instead of taking that gamble, let's try something they already like, but we can't do the exact same thing. So let's change it up a bit. It doesn't mean that it's bad, but it means you run into the same kind of feeling that people have right now of like, well, I've basically already seen this. Like I've basically already seen what's going on.
See, Rob, I think it is bad because I think they tried to reinvent the wheel on this one. They don't understand why people liked Batman Beyond in the first place. So we get this weird Road Warrior post-Futures End future that we threw Terry in because he has to live somewhere because we can't have like an actual definitive end for Bruce Wayne in the future. So we can't have that relationship going.
No, they have a definitive end. They said that. He's dead. They confirmed it in this issue that timeline is valid.
I mean, does that negate all the adventures he had with Bruce Wayne previously in the show? Is the show
we don't know yet. We don't know if this is the show timeline or if it's that other Batman Beyond they tried to make in 2009. Like which Batman Beyond this is. We also did I miss something? Because Tim died, right? Like in this future.
I didn't pay
Tim
attention.
Drake?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he died getting rid of like turning Terry back.
I guess.
Because the reason I bring that up is. There's literally like okay, so I dropped off the Tim Drake series after issue 10. It just kept going.
Who did?
And so I'm not 100% sure as to where Tim went, but there's been literally no like they're all saying where Terry was, but no one has said shit about Tim.
I'm pretty sure Tim is dead or he got shoved down a plot hole for later.
No, remember, they're tying it to what's going on right now. So currently, Tim is time displaced, and he's just hanging out with Mr. Oz. But
that was already his future.
Oh, actually, okay, so Condragon says that
Condragon
says in issue 14 he did vanish in a flash of light.
So Dr. Oz has him.
Can you? I can already see it now. Batman breaks in there, and there's 2 Tim Drakes.
I doubt the plot. I doubt the plot for DC Rebirth went as far back as Batman Beyond number 14. But I will say,
actually, no, that's right when the Rebirth started.
I guess
Batman Beyond 14 came out around July or August. It was the month before the Rebirth, so Rebirth had already started, and and a part of the Rebirth was wrapping up old plot lines to tie into Rebirth. So there's actually a very good chance that
is a good possibility.
That Tim being warped out is a Dr. Manhattan thing.
That would make sense.
Please get rid of the other Tim so we can be done with Future's End once and for all. He's the last thing that stuck around from it. Please kill him.
I mean, in truth, like I would not be adverse to them. I mean, because right now, if you have a future where it's basically just Terry McGinnis and the supporting cast and it's all struggling, in truth, like I would love to see a story where they just yank Terry McGinnis out of that future, they throw him in the present, and he fights alongside with the Bat Family and some crossover.
No, that's just called Future's End. No one wants it.
No.
Nobody wants that, Rob.
You don't do it like Future's End. You don't write a shitty plot. Like you literally just have him hang out for a while and then go back. Like you make the story good.
Pretending to be a hobo looking for clues. No, we don't want that. Terry, stay in the future.
I'm not saying we do Future's End. I know that people hate Future's End. I'm not saying we do that.
It has become this thing like Candlejack, where if you say it 3 times, all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere. And Rob keeps saying the F word, and Benny keeps trying to stop
Well,
it.
just
even
wait,
the chat,
Rob,
Rob, just for the record, before we go to the next comic so we can keep moving here, even the chat's like, Rob, that's Future's End. We don't want that.
Yeah, you guys say the Future's End. Like you guys say that, but like at the end of the next arc, it'll be like DC Rebirth, Future's End, and like,
the event that shall not be named.
Keeps dropping F-bombs and obscenities, and I'm starting to get upset.
So anyway, the next comic on our list is Bloodshot USA. Did anybody get to that one? It's a great one from Valiant Comics, and if you've been following Bloodshot, this is a nice fresh restart. And what I love about this, if you haven't been reading Bloodshot up to this point, is they recap the last 4 arcs in the first 4 pages, and they recap it all, and they're like, oh, by the way, New York is now overrun by the nanites. Everyone's turning into madmen killers, and they're going to murder everyone. And if you get near New York, you'll become one. So Bloodshot goes to the city, and the first thing he runs across, a ninjak and a live wire Bloodshot.
See, that's one of the things I like about Valiant, though, is it's so easy to get into there because it's always like 3 or 4 issue arcs. It's never like some giant 12-issue arc with a character. Like it never goes on that long.
So Bloodshot USA is a great launching pad for Bloodshot, and fuck, I loved it. I really did. So, did anyone read Blue Beetle? It's on the like 3 comics I haven't read yet.
No.
Nope. I mean, I'll probably do it just for the sake of having it, but I imagine people will just be like, nah, and it'll get like no views.
I was so hyped for Jaime coming back. Then I read that first issue and I was so disappointed. I haven't gone back yet and I feel horrible.
Everyone's all excited about Bloodshot, by the way. So everyone, if you haven't read Bloodshot, go read it. Caitlin, go read it. Joel, go read it. Rob, go read it.
Are we talking about Blue Beetle #1 or is it Blue Beetle Rebirth?
No, it's Blue Beetle 2 now. I got the 2, Rob.
Okay.
That's how far along it is.
Well, I mean, that's cool. Whatever. Like, I mean,
I'm not going to lie. The cover art, I thought that was like an evil Flash or something on there.
Flash versus Godspeed Beetle.
God's Beetle.
All right, so has anyone else read Call of Duty Zombies?
Nope.
That's a big no.
I always keep forgetting they have a Call of Duty Zombies comic until you tell me that they have a Call of Duty Zombies comic. I'm like, oh, that's right, they have one of those. Why do they have one of those?
So the Call of Duty comic takes place after the group from the Transit. When they go into Spirit, this is what happens to them next, and it goes into their backstories. Oh. So the first comic sets of the characters from Transit, so Black Ops 2.
Yeah, so they're doing the origin story of characters that haven't been relevant for 2 years.
Well, I have a weird feeling they're coming back.
Right. I was going to say, are these the characters that are based on like the famous horror icons, or am I thinking of another one?
No, that's a different one.
Yeah.
That's
so these characters basically are still fighting off the zombies. They open up a portal. They go through it. This is still initially the way the issues are claiming they're going to go into the history of the characters, but it picks up where the game left off. The zombies are now getting intelligent, and they're not quite sure how to handle it, so they go through some kind of portal to another dimension.
For comics like this that are supplemental material for video games, it's usually some type of marketing comic to ramp up for the next video game release that's going to build up.
Yeah. Infinite Warfare has a zombie mode.
Yeah.
So Infinite Warfare does have a zombie mode. This is probably just, even though it's probably not this cast, it's hyping for the zombie mode. What I do like about this first issue, though, is you are in no way required to know the Call of Duty Zombies story, franchise, characters in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, that's good.
Because like Rob said, I haven't touched Black Ops 2 in like 3 years, 2 years, however long.
Yeah, something like that, however long it's been.
And this was actually, I really did enjoy this because it started up, I'm like, oh, I recognize these characters, but who the fuck actually knew anything about any of them, honestly? Like, you just grabbed a gun and shot people and laughed at the jokes they cracked.
I mean, I'll be honest, man. At this point, like, I'm so tired of the copy and paste series. I just buy it for the sake of zombies. Like, I buy copy and paste. Like, I'll buy copy and paste Infinite Warfare just to play zombies. Like, that'd be the only reason to get it.
We actually got into a big fight about Battlefield 1 before this started. I'm like, yeah, World War I, yeah, small, contained story mode. Yeah.
The only complaint that I have about this Call of Duty Zombies book, the only complaint I have about this book, I like this as a starter issue, and I'm probably going to do it on my channel to promote Eligible Monster, the gaming channel where Rob and I talk about Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Overwatch. But anyway, I'll probably be doing it on my gaming channel, on my main channel to promote the gaming channel. Don't forget to go subscribe to Eligible Monster. Natalie's over there as well, and she brings you amazing, wonderful lists. Anyway, we're going to be doing it over on our gaming channel. But anyway, the only complaint I have about this Call of Duty line of comics that they've been coming out with a little bit more frequently and recently, they did Black Ops 3 as a comic, and they delayed the comics so much that it's now wrapping up, and it's been a year.
Jesus.
And I think it's only like 7 issues in.
That sucks.
It got hit with so many delays, it was ridiculous.
Do you read these Call of Duty comics in first person mode? Is that an option?
I do. Actually, as I'm reading them, I'm running.
As you should. Ramirez, get that door.
So, all right. Anyway, next up is Steve Rogers, Captain America.
Oh my God! One of
so, what did you think about it, Joel?
Coming out of Marvel.
I enjoyed it. No, this is the end of the first arc. It's also a tie-in.
No, hold on. It's not, because I was talking to Rob about this. 1 through 3 was an arc. 4 through 6, while continuing some of the plot points, is now the Civil War II arc.
It's all one big story arc, man.
It is. And what I like is that Nick Spencer doesn't get bogged down in the tie-in-ness of it all. I think we can all agree. And I'll let Rob get in here now because he might explode if he doesn't.
See, here's a great thing about story. Like this is the one good thing Civil War II has going for it. When they launched Civil War II and they started running off the tie-ins, I was like, oh my god, these tie-ins are gonna have to come around Civil War II. Nope, because almost none of the tie-ins tie into it. That said, what Steve Rogers does is it ties into it, and it does it incredibly well. He's literally the mastermind behind everything. And
I was the whole thing.
Reframe, dude. I was flipping through it, and I was like, oh my god, this changes everything. Like before, it was just like, well, they're just fighting because they're fighting, whatever. Not only that, and this is what I like about this. Before Secret Wars, before All New, All Different Marvel, before all that stuff, Steve Rogers was just a guy who lived in the 40s and he was frozen for 20 years, and they thawed him out, and he led the Avengers, and he's like, yeah, America, let's go do stuff, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm not that bright. Like this makes him super smart. Like he's I mean, basically he is the hidden hand. It's not the Red Skull. The Red Skull don't even know what Steve Rogers is doing. He's the hidden hand behind everything, and he's literally put the superheroes of the Marvel universe in positions like chess pieces to the point that they're fighting each other.
He's fanned the flames, and they're not paying attention to him, which is beautiful.
So much of me was like, that reveal was so good, and it made me look at Civil War in such a completely different way from before that I was like, why wasn't this in the main
that needed to be in the main book? That's the biggest confusion I have.
That was the story.
I feel Bendis didn't sign off on any of this. I think this is Nick Spencer just doing an end zone dance, being, ha ha ha, I'm more creative than all of you.
No, here's what irritates me, and we're going to go over.
Like, guys, I can save this.
So this is actually going to tie into the Civil War II comic, which is the next thing on the list anyway. Yeah. So Civil War II then goes into the plot explaining that Spider-Man is going to kill Steve Rogers. That's where we're at with that. That's the future we've seen. And what I loved about Steve Rogers 6 is it ties directly into this particular issue because in Steve Rogers 6, he kneels down to talk to Spider-Man, and it's the exact same conversation that happens in Civil War 2. And then what happens if you're reading Steve Rogers is, in Civil War 2, Spider-Man leaves, that fight becomes a thing. Where does Spider-Man go? But in Steve Rogers, he walks away, and we get to see what he was thinking and what was happening and what he wanted to do. And like you said, this should be in the main book. This should not be a separate book at all.
Yeah. Well, that was a cool thing, and that's what I love the most, because when I got to the final issue and when I got to the final page and Steve Rogers was like, the great thing about this is that everyone was so focused on the fact that Miles killed me, they weren't looking at anything else. And I was like, well, what the hell else are they supposed to be looking at? So I go back to the last issue and I go all the way to the end, and I'm like, does he mean that like the Capitol's totally destroyed? Is that what he's talking about? Like Washington D.C.? I was like, So hold on. So Steve Rogers is going to have Hydra destroy the Capitol?
Yeah,
apparently. Like, oh my God, this is going to be good.
This reminds me of reading like an awesome, like fast-paced detective spy or political thriller where you hit the point, where you hit the point where the shit's hit the fan, the reveal, and then you got to go back and look for all the clues.
Yes.
Like there are 7 differences in this photo. Can you find them? Like, I mean, Nick Spencer, by pulling this move, became the Nick Savior to the Honey Bendis. I mean, it just he swooped in and was like, "Behold, my beautiful creativity."
Trevia's got a good question. Where's Peter Parker, Spider-Man? He's dealing with clones and just doesn't give a fuck.
He's off being rich and cloning shit. I mean,
he's dealing with Dan Slott's terrible writing. But
you go ahead, Rob. You start.
Oh, okay. This I think is how the story changes. This is how Captain America: Steve Rogers changes everything. You read Civil War II, and Tony Stark ends up encountering Medusa when they're in the bedroom with Ulysses. Okay, that's weird. You read Steve Rogers, and he's like, I'm going to kill this guy. And it's just like, holy shit.
Selvig asks for a lot of child murder, doesn't he? He's like, you got to kill Jack Fly. You got to kill Ulysses. You got to kill that Spider-Man. I'm like, geez, Selvig, every day you ask me to kill a new kid. What's up with you?
One of the new kids on the block. Oh,
it's like a new kid moved in next door. Oh, did he now?
You could undo this whole thing, Cap. You gotta kill him. I like that we're at the point now, too, where all the Captain America books are paying off now, because you really see this rich tapestry that Spencer is doing in the Steve Rogers book and in the Sam Wilson book, because Cap has become the villain of the Sam book as well.
Hold on. Shut up, Joel.
Why?
Rob Splooge. We had a subscriber. TK0421. And I think you owe two more previous.
Splooge. Since Joel's done talking, so my whole go ahead, man.
I was almost done. I was going to say, because he's become the villain in that book too, and he says, what, I'm going to destroy Sam Wilson, Captain America, and in doing so, I'll destroy America. That's why I let him keep the shield when my mind was rewritten. I'm playing the long game here, motherfucker.
So good with Steve Rogers playing the long con, and I just feel like they were in the boardroom with Civil War II, and Nick Spencer goes, guys, I have this really, really good idea for Civil War II. And then they were like, well, there's going to be a lot of money in Civil War II. And then Honey Bendis just pops up out of nowhere, slams Nick Spencer to the ground and goes, so I heard you said money.
I saw this movie Minority Report the other night. Gave me some ideas.
Yeah. No, it's but to me, it's the small things that make the big difference. Like when he's sitting down and he's talking to Tony Stark, and he was like, man, he's like, what you're just like the way you're acting. He's like, are you sure you're not doing this for the wrong reasons? Like, you were the one that had us marching, in support of the Superhuman Registration Act, and I fought against you on that, and like the question is, how long has it been since you had a drink? And Stark just freaks out and flies off, and Rogers is like, he's like, this is exactly where I need you. I need you unsettled. I need you confused. I do not need you calm and collected. And that's so great, because we all know that if Tony Stark was calm and collected and he sat down and he said, let's look at all the pieces on the table right now, he would immediately put together the fact that Steve Rogers is doing
all
something.
the buttons.
Steve Rogers
he's hitting
the
every button right.
Like the low-key trolling game, the low-key triggered. Like, he's like, I'm just going to say this, like, I'm just going to let this little thing right here out into the ether, and then it just causes this butterfly effect of fucking shit up.
It's insane. It really is.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's pretty badass.
So that's Captain America, Steve Rogers, and that's Civil War II, which I think we're done dealing with them as separate comics. That's one goddamn fucking story.
It might as well be. I mean, like, if you guys are on the fence about Civil War II, if you guys don't like it so far, go read Captain America, Steve Rogers, and I guarantee it'll change the way you see the whole conflict.
That's where the entire story is. I mean, it's like the entire story is in Steve Rogers, Captain America, and then you use Civil War II to find the clues. Yep. So you just use that as the back of the cereal box with your little magnifying glass and find
This is going to be a bitch to read later on, isn't it? Or like for future generations, be like, no, you got to read it like this. You got to read this one Captain Marvel and this one Iron Man and all of Captain America, and then it makes sense.
I have a feeling this is actually going to have the same effect that the first Civil War had. Because when the first Civil War came out, it was just a clusterfuck to read, and it was really irritating. And then when the trades came out, you were like, oh, this is great.
No, I still think it's shit, but Rob loves it.
Oh, I love it, man. No, the trade saved Civil War.
Actually, we have a good question from one of the subscribers over here. Dat Silly Killy, how are they going to redeem him from all these actions? Well, they turned him evil by basically altering history. So once they get Kobik, I get a feeling it's just going to be all like retroactively put back.
That's the beauty of it.
Which is also why you need to read Thunderbolts to see what's up with Kobik.
Do you think when they go back to alter history, they're going to hit the reset button like a little bit?
Yeah.
Think
they should hit it all the way, because it's a cosmic cube. The cosmic cubes control reality. They do whatever you want them to do. So like that's what I would do. I would be like, if I were like, wouldn't that be genius?
No,
if
genius would be to bring it right back to the moment Wolverine dies and go from there and save him and start from there.
No, I'm saying, like, wouldn't it be genius if Marvel launched all different Marvel and like they totally screwed up their continuity? They're like, we've done all these things and it's all screwed up and it's a nightmare, but we did this because we're gonna reboot, and it'd be weird, but it would still work.
No, I got it right here. We get to the end, and what they do is they finally put it together and they go, because Logan wasn't here, shit hit the fan. So they use Kobik to bring Logan back, and they bring the timeline back to the moment he died, and then he's a part of it all, and oh my god, it goes well.
Logan, who's Logan? He's not an Inhuman. Never heard of him.
Yeah, it's all about the Inhumans now, Benny. Haven't you heard?
How can we work?
Okay. They bring it back to the moment he dies, and instead of dying, he discovers that he's actually inhuman and gets his healing factor back that way.
Let me tell you something, man. If Marvel took that route, if Marvel came back and they were like, well, actually, Wolverine was an inhuman the entire time, I would never read a Marvel comic again. I'd be like, you know what, Marvel?
You know what? Okay, we'll get to this rant when I get down to here, because Venom ended amazing, and I'm ready to fucking freak the fuck out on them, but whatever. Okay, hold on. Okay.
I would be ready to table flip both myself and Marvel into the sun.
Well, I got a rant in the chamber. I'm loading the chamber with a Venom rant. It's in the chamber.
Your face is turning a bit red too.
Okay, all right.
We joke about it.
Let's talk about Deadpool. Deadpool's goddamn fucking amazing. If you haven't read Deadpool 21 and you're not reading it, it's the goddamn fucking history to Madcap. Go read that shit.
The last two.
Huh?
The last two were really tight. The last two,
but they were standalone. This is the new arc, and they go back to the Madcap shit.
New arc.
Hold on, is it a new arc or is it a one-shot?
No, it's the current one is a new arc. It is
okay.
It goes back to the arc that was started in the first two arcs, which involved his history and Madcap and what happened to him and where he is. And they explain a little bit more about Madcap. So we're back to the main villain of the Deadpool book finally. Good book. Go check it the fuck out. They explain everything. Moving on. Oh, I can't do this the whole way to V.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you going to talk about what I think you're going to talk about?
What?
About Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps?
Oh no, I already have dibs on that. Fuck you.
We are going to.
All right,
you and I, we're going to
Joel,
talk.
Deathstroke, go. I know you read that.
Man, Deathstroke continues to be cool and surprising. This is Deathstroke and his daughter Rose in Gotham fighting Batman and Damian. Deathstroke kidnaps Robin, and the whole issue basically involves Damian talking mad shit to Deathstroke, saying, hey, you Cyclops son of a bitch. Yeah, you could never hack it in the League of Assassins because you don't have depth perception. I might have been thrown in a test tube and had some crappy dads, but, hey, let's talk to your kids. Oh, wait, we can't. One died because he was an idiot, and the other one can't talk at all.
I am really enjoying what they're doing.
League of Assassins also taught how to kill.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm really liking what they're doing with the whole Deathstroke thing. It's like, it's Daddy Deathstroke. And I haven't read this one yet, but the last one had a whole big thing from Wintergreen. I think it's Wintergreen. Who is it? It's
the butler. Yeah, Wintergreen.
He basically explains, never expect a hug from Deathstroke. This is his way of being your father.
Well, you guys know what the problem is with the current Deathstroke story arc, right?
What?
The fucking thing's like 10 issues long.
Wait, what?
The current. Do what?
That this new one is going to be 10 issues long.
From what I looked up, like the first story arc of Deathstroke is like 10 issues long. It's stupid.
I was gonna say, have you read this one? We're only like 3 to 4 in right now.
No, he's talking about the first Deathstroke story arc.
Like this story, like are we on a new story arc? I thought we're still in like the first story arcs.
Yeah, no, it's a 5-issue arc, Rob.
Yeah, you're confusing the shit out of me, Rob.
No. Then what did I look at that said it was like there was one that I looked at. It was like part 10. Like I looked on the DC website and it was like the name of the story arc, part 10.
I think you're looking at the old run there, Rob.
Are you sure you're not looking at that the God Killer and Gods of Wars and all that shit? I think
the one that I looked at was called The Professional, and it was an 8-part story arc. My bad.
8-part?
Yeah,
we're not 8
parts. The first trade is only the first 5 issues.
Because that's wrapped up.
Which one?
Isn't that the old story arc?
No, Professional's the new one. According to what I'm reading right here, it's a 5-issue thing. But I mean, it could be.
Professional's 5 issues.
I mean, it could be because Flash is 8 issues.
Rebirth is supposed to be 5, at least from what I know.
No, some of them are longer. Flash is 8 issues long. The first arc.
Yeah, Flash was long as hell.
What was it? What's the one I'm doing right now? That's 7 issues. Batman. No, yeah, Batman. No, Batman wasn't 7. Wasn't Superman? One of them was 7.
Possibly. But Deathstroke is good.
Then I don't. Well, that's weird because the DC website had it listed as 8 issues, so that's weird to me.
It might be 8. They might just be breaking the trade up, but like the Flash trade is including all 8. So I find it kind of hard to believe that they would be like, oh, but Deathstroke making that a 2-parter.
Yeah, see, like if you go to the DC website, it says The Professional Part 8, like Superman versus Superman versus Deathstroke.
Jeez, Deathstroke's fighting everybody.
Spoiler much?
It's on the cover, so.
Well, now it's ruined for me.
You've ruined it because you saw the cover that's been out forever.
Man! I love
Wow.
All right, well, moving on to the next one then.
And people are like, spoilers! You're going, yep.
So since Caitlin hasn't had a topic to talk about in the last few because we just keep rolling through it, I know you probably read Detective, right?
Yeah, I did read Detective.
Take it, Caitlin.
It was neat.
All right, take it, Joel.
Sorry.
Oh,
No,
man.
Detective Comics was really good. I mean, we're finally going into some of the aftermath, dealing with Tim's death. After Night of the Monster Men, the entire Bat family is kind of avoiding each other. Spoilers not calling in. Batwoman is the only one trying to keep everybody together, and Batman's kind of receding farther and farther into himself. Meanwhile, I guess a new supervillains organization called the Syndicate of Victims, claiming that Batman has ruined their lives.
I can see that, though.
After Wayne Towers, and it's
That works
actually
really well.
pretty cool. They're all spooky, scary, ghoulish-looking villains, and they kind of have a little bit of an Arkham Asylum edge to them.
Oh yeah.
So I've been enjoying it, especially that one villain who just has syringes for hands, and I'm like, that's a Scarecrow design, and I'm happy to see it.
I like 80s suit man who's poison. He's my favorite.
But
Yeah,
I agree with you, and this is something I think we needed because they killed Tim Drake and they jumped immediately into the Night of the Monster Men. So we didn't get to cope with it. So I feel like half this issue is just coping with it outright. And I loved the return of John Paul Valley and Harper Row.
Oh yeah. In
That
nerd
was
glasses,
really
I love that John Paul Valley's wearing nerd glasses. Like, I'm not Azrael. Don't look at me.
Nothing to see here, everybody. But there's I actually like the way that they formatted it, because we had the death of Tim Drake, which was super heavy hitting and really it was packed with hints and things like that of the overarching plot. And then we move into the Michael Bay meets a kaiju movie-esque Monster Men, which was a nice break from kind of how heavy Rebirth has been. It was a nice action-packed break, and now we're back into the real plot and the real meat of things. So
they're trying to grow the team too, which is funny. They're talking about adding Luke, which I was a big booster of Batwing. So I'm happy to see him back, but I'm also a little disappointed that they're basically writing him like a brand new character now. He's rich and he's a tabloid hand, and I'm like, that's not the Luke I
People aren't
like.
going to be familiar with Luke. And they are familiar with the tabloid Playboy approach for Batman, so I can kind of see why. What I'm really hoping, though, is that they give him a lot of depth, because if they don't give him any depth even later on, that's going to be a total waste of Luke as a character.
Yeah.
But I think they are. I mean, dialogue-wise, they've set it up, especially with Batwoman and her prejudginess of him. But I really liked Clayface when he shows up to the police gala. He's so cute. He's like, hey guys, it's not weird that I hang out with you, right? I don't have friends.
No, what I love about Clayface, and this is what Joel and I were talking about earlier, this is the most development for Clayface that we've had in since his inception. It is so amazing. Like that one page where he's got a big smile and he's training. I think it was with Orphan or Spoiler. He's training with Orphan. Yeah. And he's training with them, and he's like, yeah, we're doing this. We're a team. And he's like, hit us with the hardest thing you've got. And they show Clayface, and he's like, oh, they see me as a monster. And you're like, in one page, so much emotion was just there of him, trying, being into this. He likes being a hero. And then seeing what he was portrayed as. Well,
that's the beauty of it.
Clayface is always, I feel like they're taking a lot from the animated series a little bit, because Clayface was always more, he was a tragic villain, and he was more a villain by circumstance. It was one of those things where he was like, well, if people are going to see me as a monster and punish me anyway, then I guess that's just what I'm going to have to be, even though he doesn't want to be that way at all. And getting that second chance from the Bat family and having a support network and friends, and he gets to help people, he's overjoyed.
I like they remember he's an actor too. I'm an actor. I'm a leading man. I want to be a hero. I like getting applause.
Yeah, and he likes positive attention. I mean, that's a lot of reinforcement behind his acting, and it's so nice. Just my sweet cinnamon bun Clayface.
I really, really hope that this doesn't turn into a couple more issues and he just kind of goes away. I really just I want to see this. I'm in for the ride to see what's gonna happen with Clayface in the long run. And I like that they're not just ham-fisting Clayface is good. Clayface is good. No, they're doing it like if I was a villain for 20 years for Batman, and suddenly he wanted me on his team. They're handling Clayface in that manner where he's like, all right, I'll do whatever you say. I'm trying my best here. I'll do whatever you say. Just, I really want to be a good guy now,
I'm trying really hard, you guys. I want to make you proud of me.
Exactly, and that's what I love about him is that's that he's coming across as a kid trying to make his dad proud. Like he's like, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. I really don't want to fail you. And you could see that in the original arc, and you could see that in Night of the Monster Men. And he's being very underutilized, but I think it's in a very good way because he's popping up just for these moments where you're just like, oh my god, Clayface, like really.
Well,
you got to figure
It makes sense too, because I feel like if they overworked him or overutilized him, even just organically as somebody new to being a hero, he might become overstressed. So giving him these things that he can do and giving him, like throughout Night of the Monster Men, he's like, well, I'm going a little thin here. I'm really trying my best, but I'm running a little thin here. And he was given primarily the evacuation task. So he's not even taking on the giant monsters or anything like that. But he's still pushing himself, but it's in the right way. It's not in a way that's going to be destructive for him or drive him back down a dark path. It's like they're really trying to reform him. And I love that so much. I want the hugs to work. I want them so badly.
You know what hit me too? They clearly trust him enough to let him know most of their secret identities. I wonder if they're going to eventually do, Batman's Bruce Wayne, and he's going to be like, what?
You are right. They are giving away a lot of the identities, like him showing up with spoiler and stuff like that. It will be funny. I'm waiting for them to just talk about it casually. Oh yeah, go get Bruce. Tell him to put on the suit, and just Basil being like, "What?"
Well, that was a cool thing when they first offered the whole storyline of like the redemption of Clayface, because there were two things that really stood out to me so far in Detective Comics with this character. The first was when they first reintroduced him in Detective Comics, and they go into the movie theater, and like everybody's gone, and he's just sitting in a chair, and he's like, you know who that is? And they're like, who? He's like, that's Carl Bassel, like that you, or was it Bassel Carlo? He's like, that used to be me. You know, and I was like, oh my God, that's solid. And then the other part was not only was he, split himself into a whole bunch of cops to evacuate people, but when Batman went against Gotham Girl when she was transformed into that monster, and like Clayface was like his suit of armor.
Yeah.
And I was like, what a great way to use that character. Like, what a smart way to use him. And see, here's the beauty of all this is a time will probably come when Clayface will go back to being a villain. And if that happens, I don't see it as some grand poobah. He turns against Batman and tries to kill him. Like, I see it as some moment where he's like, face it, like, this is what I am. Like, I'm just a bad guy. And I'm always going to be a bad guy.
Croc will help out, but then he's like, look, I know what I am. I'm a monster. I'm going to do what I do.
I feel like it would happen very silently too. I feel like if Clayface returned to being a villain, it would be like him falling apart and melting back into the shadows, quietly hoping that nobody really notices his departure. I feel like it'll be really, really sad when or if it happens, because I'm saying if, because my dream is for hugs to work. And it's for Clayface to live in this wonderful bubble forever.
I will say this though, before we move on to the next topic, I do find it a bit odd about this Clayface situation, where Batman has every cure for him. Now you can stand in the rain. Now you can look like a human. And I feel like if you had just given this shit to him earlier, he may have been a good guy for quite a while now.
It's the Mr. Freeze problem, isn't it? Where it's like, Batman, you can afford to fix his wife. You can fix him so he doesn't have to live in the suit. You just choose not to.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, now you're working with me. I'll cure every one of your ailments, Clayface.
Batman is kind of a dick that way. I mean, I feel like there's a reason he became a Yellow Lantern.
All right, well, moving on to the next one. Did anyone read the new Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme?
Nah.
Okay. I'm going to, but I'm still catching up with the previous run, so I'm getting there.
I read the other one.
The other one? Okay, Doctor Strange and the Mystical Apprentice?
Yeah, I read that one.
Okay, well, how was that one?
It was neat. No, they
it was
neat. It was really good. Sorry, like my concussion's starting to hit me. Like I was really focused earlier and I was like, I can do this. And now my attention span is like, whoa. But they, okay. Doctor Strange, it's all about, they kind of redo his origins, but they pick up with him trying to, sorry, I forgot the word for it. I'm going to blame everything on the concussion, though, just so you know. So,
that was 3 months ago.
What?
That's a cruel joke.
I thought it was 4 days ago. My mind. But it's when his body goes, his soul comes out of his body. He exports his soul into
Astral projection.
Dropbox. astral projection.
Good word.
he astral projects his soul, and he's trying to do it, and he's like, I can't do it, I just keep thinking about my fucked up hands. And they're like, well, stop thinking about your fucked up hands. And he's like, I can't, I got the trauma. And they're like, well, I guess you could try to stop thinking about the trauma. And he's like, okay, I'll try really hard, it's still not working. And they're like, well, I guess just try harder then. Okay, this is how my hands got fucked up, by the way, people who are looking at this flashback. And then they're like, okay, I guess you can try super hard now. And he's like, I'm going to read all night to try to do this. I'm going to read on astral exportation all night. And then he falls asleep at his desk like I did earlier today. And then all of a sudden he's out of his body and he's like, cool, my soul can fly and read books and shit. And then they continued it with a whole bunch of Silver Age bullshit.
Nice. Yeah, they collected a bunch of them, didn't they?
Yeah, they collected a whole bunch of original Doctor Strange stories. And they were like, look, this was the original when he was a money-grubbing surgeon whore. And they were like, Doctor Strange, please help me. I'm sick and wounded, and only your magical surgery hands can help me. And he's like, ha, 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 not enough money, poor person.
Rob, you owe me
And
a
he's
splooch.
like, oh no, I guess I'm dead. And then Doctor Strange is like, karma fucked up my hands.
Go see the
Rob,
movie.
splooge, Rob.
Splooge. I did splooge.
For peanut butter put pea and puffs.
Panda
Butter
puffs.
panda puffs. Okay.
Yeah.
Peanut
No, that's like
I heard,
that Doctor Strange. Huh?
I did read it as peanut butter puffs too, and I was like, that's interesting.
No, that Doctor Strange that we got, that was the OP Doctor Strange. That was before he lost his connection to everything and then gained it back when like Brother Voodoo took over for a while. Like the one you're talking, that's the old school, the OP as fuck Doctor Strange, where he could literally do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
Well, they were
Like the
doing that
cosmic
again before the
entity.
last Days of Magic, which I'm now catching up on that, which is my question.
Well,
did they
Voodoo
end
Bro
Jason
was
Aaron's
the
run on Doctor
coolest
Strange?
Bro.
Do what?
Voodoo Bro. Best bro.
Voodoo Bro.
Did they
Best.
end the Jason Aaron run on Doctor Strange for these two new books, or are they
Nah,
still
it's
have
still
three?
No, it's still going. Like the story arc, it continues on. I mean, like the last Age of Magic ends, but it's like the end of that going into something else. So it basically like.
Well,
the
no,
next
there's a
story arc
whole
will
other.
just
There
pick
was
up
an
from
arc.
there.
Like I read all the way through Last Days of Magic, and there's like 4 more issues. I'm just wondering if they ended that whole run to launch the new run for a #1, or is that run still going?
No.
Jason Aaron's
If they launch it. If they launch it as a #1, it wouldn't make sense because it's just a continuation.
They just wanted some new #1s
Okay,
to
so
tie in
basically
with
we
the
have
release of the
3
movie.
Doctor Strange
just
books
wanna-
going right now, just in case he does super well in the movies.
I
mean,
think
what
the
you would
Mystic is
call-
just a one-shot, isn't it?
Yeah, the Mystic Apprentice, whatever, was just for the movie. It's like, do you not know who this man is?
Okay.
Well, here is who he is.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
we have 2 concurrent running ongoing series for Doctor Strange then, right?
Yes, but what you call because what you're saying there's like Way of the Weird or whatever it is, which is like I think the first 6 issues.
No, that's an
and
arc.
then
Like Jason Aaron's writing the ongoing. Doctor Strange is just an ongoing.
I know that. But you're saying, but you're talking about like how Last Days of Magic is only a couple issues, and then the next story arc is issues after that. Like to me, they're all 6 issues, like they're all one story arc, and the next one will lead into that because the way this most recent issue ended, it leaves things open for the continuation because not everything's fully resolved.
Right. No,
So-
well, I was just curious if they ended Jason Aaron's run for the Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme, or if we were
I
having
thought-
2 books going at the same time.
I'm sorry,
around
I'm
and
sorry.
around.
I thought you were asking about the current arc.
No,
Okay,
I know,
yes.
I know the arc, Rob. I was like, I just wanted to know if Jason Aaron was done with the book.
No, to my knowledge, he's still
really
writing it.
wanted to explain things.
I wanted to
Rob,
explain what you already
explain.
know.
Okay, has anybody read Extraordinary X-Men? Because as much as I loved that book, I totally gave up at the
You
Apocalypse.
mean
I've-
Extraordinary Inhumans?
I gave up on all the X-Men titles with Apocalypse Wars. I haven't picked them up since.
Same.
Okay, isn't
same.
this the last issue anyway? Because they're doing Death of X right now.
They're still
Yeah.
doing Death, so yeah, I guess so.
Death of X the last issue comes out in 2 weeks, I think. So
All right, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
guys, let's talk about the greatest book this week, The Flash.
man, I don't know if it's the greatest, but it's one of the greatest. Oh my god, it was
As
good.
fuck.
It was okay. This is what we wanted, and I loved how they didn't ignore what was going on with the Flash story arc and the Wally West arc. Like, Wally comes in and he explains what's happening with Mr. Abracadabra over on his side, and he explains why he doesn't want to talk to Iris, and he keeps hidden who he is because he's still resolving it. But they meet, and he teaches young Wally West some shit, and we finally get a bomb that we've had going on for like the longest time in the Flash series about Daniel West actually being Wally West's father. Now, what I found interesting about this was that was an idea that was tossed around early in the book. It wasn't actually confirmed. It was like Barry found potential information, but it sounds like now they're going with full confirmation of Reverse Flash. And on a side note, I just learned this the other day because I was confused. So just so you guys know, because this one talks about Reverse Flash, and they reference Daniel West as the Reverse Flash. Now, any classic Flash fan knows that we have Zoom. We have Professor Zoom, we have Zoom, and we had Reverse Flash, and they're all kind of like interchangeable, like two dudes, and then we had a third dude.
Sure are.
DC Rebirth and New 52 got rid of Hunter Zolomon in his entirety.
Really?
I did not.
I was wondering if
this.
anybody noticed that. Yeah, he's gone.
No, but like
no.
No, this isn't a situation of he can come back. They completely wrote him out and made him Daniel West. That's what happened.
Don't say.
So basically, instead of having two Reverse Flashes and make it confusing, they made a proper Reverse Flash, who is Daniel West, who is currently dead right now. And then they did Zoom, who is Professor Zoom, and they're two separate characters now with no Hunter Zolomon in the middle.
Right, okay. I guess that makes a little bit more sense. I guess it was a bit confusing to have so many similar characters with the same name.
Right.
Well, see, here's one of the things that kind of baffled me too, and maybe you might be able to clear this up, but one of the things that kind of confused me a bit was the whole Barry Allen being possessed. So my question was that Eobard Thawne that possessed him?
Yes, because they had the little after shadow of him.
See, that's what I thought, but Eobard Thawne is locked up in Iron Heights.
Okay, that doesn't matter when it comes to Eobard Thawne. I know this is confusing.
Yeah.
But
It can exist
Eobard
everywhere at
Thawne can
once.
travel freely through time. So there's been instances where we have multiple Eobard Thawnes because he's... So as we learned in Flashpoint, Eobard Thawne isn't actually in a timeline. So unless they've changed something, when Barry traveled through and created the Flashpoint way back in 2011, and that timeline is still valid, Eobard Thawne was outside traveling through time at the time of that happening. This turned him into a living paradox. He doesn't belong anywhere, and he can be at any point in time at any time.
He can cross his own timeline endlessly.
Yeah.
He's like a really evil doctor who's also very fast, and running is his hobby.
Well, okay. Well, see, that's something that I want to make sure because I assume that was the case because again, as far as I knew, they never changed that. Like Barry Allen, like the timeline where Barry Allen became the Flash, leading to Eobard Thawne, doesn't exist anymore. And so, because Eobard Thawne still exists, but his future is gone, he has no future. He can be wherever he wants. I thought that was still the case. Splooge, Acom Super Noob. Thanks for resubbing 18 months in a row.
But basically, to go back to the issue that happened here, we get the old Wally West meeting the new Wally West. We established that new Wally West. Well, okay, we'll go with Wally. We'll just call him New 52 and pre. Okay, so
I was gonna say I use young and old Wally.
Okay, we'll go. Okay, so we established that old Wally is still fixing his timeline. He wasn't an immediate implant into everything. We also established, and this actually confirms what we learn in Titans 4. So I guess we'll just talk about Titans 4 over here too.
Yes, I read
as
that.
well.
That's good.
So Titans 4 confirms an old thing from the Speedsters days that we haven't seen yet, which also ties in to the Mina situation from the Flash Rebirth, where if a Speedster hits a new level of speed, they get lost in the time stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what this confirms now is what happened to Barry all the way back in Infinite Crisis is still a valid problem for Speedsters, which confirms that Mina went super fast entering the Speed Force, which also doubles back around, showing you that Zoom is freely running through the Speed Force, which doubles back over to Titans 4, showing that Wally currently doesn't have an anchor into a timeline, which comes right back around to the Wally West of Two Worlds, showing us that the Wally Wests are moving so fast that they don't know what's going on, which comes right back to Barry Allen, showing that he's hitting a new level and doesn't know how to control it.
Yeah.
Well, but see, I thought they confirmed that with Mina when she was believed dead. But at the end of that story arc, she appeared to Barry Allen and said thanks, and then bailed.
Right.
Like because she had an actual track. Like, I mean, it wasn't like she was a ghost. Like, she had an actual speed track when she ran. So she was there. It's just she moved too fast for Barry Allen to actually detect, which told us how fast she was going.
That is a symptom of being lost in the Speed Force. Because Barry Allen was able to, once in a while, exit and communicate and then get sucked back in.
Yeah. Well, that was a big thing. That's how DC said, yeah, he's still there. We just haven't done anything with him for however long.
Right. What I'm saying is, like, they've established a long time ago that if you're lost in the Speed Force, you exist. You just have to find a way to come back.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, which doubles back to Wally, which is where Wally was when he was removed. He was stuck in the Time Machine / Speed Force because he didn't have, what's her name?
Oh, his girlfriend, yeah.
Karen?
Oh.
Is it Karen? Karen Page?
No, Karen Page is Daredevil.
That's Daredevil.
Oh, dang it. I don't have it.
Her name escapes me, too. She was on the Flash TV show for a second. Why is her name escaping me?
Linda Park.
Linda Page.
No, it's Linda Park.
You got the Page part right.
Okay.
But
anyway, so basically what we've discovered, what this is all linking back to, is that the Speed Force is going back to the way it was before the New 52, which is basically like you can be immensely fast and lose yourself in it. Which goes back to what happened in Titans 4, which is incredible. Abracadabra got rid of Wally, and then he wiped his own. So we established in Titans that while Abracadabra is not the guy that wiped out 10 years, he is the one that fucked over Wally West and threw him out when that whole thing happened. So what's going on now is between all of this, Wally West in Titans 4 is the only problem I have with Wally West of Two Worlds. But in Titans 4, Wally's about to run so fast that he may get lost in the Speed Force. Except in Wally West of Two Worlds, we already see that he's fine. So.
Well, okay.
Except he's okay.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, can we please address the ending of Flash? The ending of that comic.
Well, what was the ending?
When Wally said, you said something about seeing something in the Speed Force, what did you see? And he said, I don't know what it was, but it made me feel hope.
Oh,
and it was the
Jay
helmet
Garrick.
of Jay Garrick. And I was like, oh my God, yes.
Oh, are they finally teasing JSA? Are they finally going to go ahead with that book?
I just want to see Jay Garrick show up in the regular, because I was talking about this. Well, I was talking about this, and to me, there's this image, all right, there's this picture you can find on the internet. And it encapsulates the entirety of like the Flash family perfectly. It's like all the speedsters just running in a direction.
That was from Flash Rebirth. I remember that one.
Yes, and that was so cool because it's like that. Like that's them. That's all the speedsters. You know, like Max Mercury, Wally West, Barry Allen, so on and so forth. And I feel like without Jay Garrick, it's just not complete. And what I think Joshua Williamson is doing here, at least I really hope you're doing this. I hope he's moving back to like a complete return of the Flash family. Like I can
almost guarantee he is with that helmet at this point.
I want that.
Yeah, well that's what I'm hoping.
But here's the thing: by him stating that he saw that in the Speed Force, I have a weird feeling that what's going to happen is Barry and maybe even one of the Wallies is going in to get Mina because they discover she's there, and they're going to find Jay in there as well.
Oh, dude, if that happens, that'd be so fucking sweet.
Because Mina is a reason for them to go into the Speed Force. Jay can be there.
Wouldn't that be
and he'll be old, but not that old. And then he can hang out with, his other JSA friends, because we established in DC Universe Rebirth, hey, the JSA guys are still alive out there somewhere. You got to go find them.
Dude, wouldn't that be sweet if like after that whole reboot thing, like they're all just trapped in the Speed Force. They've just been there, like just been sitting around there, and like they just like Wally or Barry.
What you didn't cover, Rob, and actually this is funny because somebody mentioned it in the chat just now, and it didn't click until right now. So that it was a variant cover. One of the variant covers is him sitting in the park eating a sandwich in front of the Mercury statue showing the Jay Garrick helmet. When I was going through the issue, I didn't realize it was a variant cover, and then I didn't realize it was Mercury first. I thought it was a statue of Jay, and I was like, what? He's back here?
No. I mean, they show Jay's helmet at the end of the comic.
No, they do, but they're not. That's not what I'm saying. Is that's not the only hint at Jay. There's a variant cover.
Okay.
There's signposting for Jay, super horde. So there's no way. And then you couple that with his popularity from the CW shows, and then not to mention bold-facedly seeing his helmet. They're like, Jay coming back. Jay Bay.
Well, see, I never put too much credence to variant covers because you can have variant cover they just feature Jay Garrick because he's so well known in the Flash. When I saw the helmet, that's when I was like, okay, like Jay Garrick is going to come
brings
back.
up a good point though. If they go in looking for Mina and they find Jay, what do you think? Do you think they'll find Wally's kids?
Oh,
You find like,
don't play with my heart.
You find all of them in there. Like, that would be awesome.
What would you do if they just run into the Speed Force and they're just like, what the fuck? And there's all these kids, Jay Garrick and Max Mercury, Jesse Quick.
Yeah.
Like,
they're all just
chilling in the Speed Force.
Don't
the
play with my
Speed Force
heart.
becomes that crack in the couch where you find everything that you've lost. Like the remote, my
so
iPod
good
shuffle
characters
from
here.
2000.
Oh my God! I found the remote control in Jay Garrick. It's a great day.
Rob, give me a splooge for Y3478.
Splooge. Thank you for subscribing.
Splooges today.
So many splooges.
So
No, dude, that's
Rob,
just what I'm.
you got to be running on dry here, just poofing soon.
No, dude, I've got all kinds
Man,
of
not a
splooges, man.
machine.
I've got infinite splooges. No, I'm so hyped because ever since New 52, Francis Manapul did a good job with the Flash. The stories were kind of lacking later on, but ever since the start of the New 52, without everybody else, it just felt incomplete. Like that whole Flash rebirth, the Flash family, like that whole Jeff Johns story just kind of completed the Flash mythos. And I feel like since the New 52 started, it's just not been the same. Like even if it's something that you just can't touch, like something on the edge of your tongue that you just can't say, like whatever it is, so it's just not whole.
Well, before I
And
move on to the
we're
next
going
comic,
that
don't
direction.
forget that there is an Earth 2, there's a Justice League Society coming back.
Yeah,
and we
but
still don't have confirmation as to are they related to the other Earth 2 guys or are these a different Earth 2? So this whole thing could be a way to like bridge that gap again.
Society, from my understanding, will continue as it's been, but there's also a JSA book that was solicited.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean. Yeah,
never
Justice
hit
Society
there.
of America. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Society has ended. The last issue came out, as far as I know.
No, you're thinking Earth 2 Society. I'm talking Justice League Society.
Yeah, Justice League
of
Society.
America.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing. Yeah. That is the classic group again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, no, that book hasn't come out yet. Earth 2 Society is the one you're talking about that's
Right,
continuing.
no. We're confused here. I'm talking about Justice League Society. I just had the name mixed up. Okay.
Or Justice Society hasn't been solicited yet. We know it's happening. We just don't know
and that's
when.
what I'm saying. We don't know what's
okay.
in Justice Society, if it's just
Absolutely.
a continuation of the Earth 2 Society guys, or is this sign of Jay Garrick a sign of, no, it's the classics?
Oh, well, it's got to be.
Because I'm pretty sure Earth 2 Society just ended. I stopped following it, honestly.
Me
But
too.
I remember the last arc was like, yeah, this is the finale or something like that. So
Well, they rebuilt their
but-
Earth. My buddy Matt still reads, and he's like, yeah, they brought back their old Earth from when the series was good.
No, I mean, it
thank
would
God,
make
because
sense.
that new Earth was shit.
Yeah,
It would make sense though, like if they did that, like if not, it's pretty convenient timing that Earth 2 Society ends right when the helmet of Jay Garrick drops, and we know that JSA is coming out. Like it'd be a huge coincidence. By the way, I meant to ask, so is Earth 2 Society worth covering? Because I've
No,
skimmed
Earth 2
through
was
it, but-
amazing until Society. Society turned it into a political mess on a different Earth with different
Yeah.
suns, and it was weird.
Oh, okay.
The James Robinson stuff is great. Then Futures End, World's End was okay, but it kind of fucked it up, and then it never recovered afterwards.
Oh, okay.
World's End was amazing. The conclusion to that was just great.
Oh, that was fun.
And they found a new Earth, and everything is good. And then they came back with Earth 2 Society, and they're like, well, it's not really a good Earth. You know what I
No,
mean? Like,
yeah, they had such a great chance with that book. Like you read that James Robinson stuff, and you're like, by God, it's a love letter to the golden age. It can exist, and it can be modern, and it can be cool, and you can have these characters, and then just nothing.
Yeah. A lot of broken promises there.
A lot of broken promises.
that's why I covered Earth 2 all the way up to World's End, and I'm like, and that's the conclusion. And people are like, what about Society? I'm like, that doesn't exist.
Never heard of it. I have a blind spot for it.
According to Wade, it's still going. How is it still going? Who is still reading it?
Yeah, it's
My
on like
buddy
number
Matt
15,
is
I
still
think.
reading it.
Joel, are you still reading it?
I'm not. I hear about it from my buddy Matt. I'm like, hey Matt, what's happening in Earth?
No,
Oh,
Joel's
You
lying.
heard
It's one of
about
his
it
guilty
from your buddy
pleasures.
Matt. Oh.
So Generation 03 came out. Is anyone still following that one? I haven't read 3 yet. No.
Generation Zero. What's Generation Zero about? I've never
It's
heard
a
of it.
spin-off from the Harbinger. It's another group of psiots in the Valiant universe. And they're basically it's a cool idea. It's like you go into a deep dark web chat room and you drop the right keywords and they'll show up to save the day.
Oh,
That's actually a really cool concept.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
it
dude,
is.
I love what they did with Harbinger, dude. I'll read Generation Zero. That
Yeah,
sounds
no, it's on
awesome.
issue 3 now. It's really good. I remember talking with the Valiant guys and they're like, yeah, no one knows it exists.
we
Well,
really want
we
to
gotta
get the
change
word
that.
out about it.
Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy 13.
I have not had a chance to read. It's Guardians of the Galaxy because I know that like Guardians of Infinity people dug. I know people dug Star-Lord. Does anybody like Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh no,
though?
it was amazing until the Civil War 2 tie-ins.
Yeah.
Everything was amazing until the Civil War 2
So,
time. Everything was decent
so
until
basically the way
Civil War 2 time.
the way it started was it picked up right where the Guardians of the Galaxy left off. They basically got into a big fight. Peter Quill was in charge of an entire planet. Hala jumped down and got all mad because they blew up the Kree homeworld. I think it was the Kree or the Skrulls, one of them. They blew up the whole homeworld of them, so they came to get revenge. They fought against them. The planet blamed Peter Quill, so they sent him to a prison where they turn out that it's like a slave planet. So the Guardians liberated an entire planet. And while doing freed Angela and put her back on the team. And they made this amazing team. And
shit, they found Angela again? Holy shit.
Well, so it was weird. So they basically imprisoned Kitty Pryde and Star-Lord, and then you find out that was partially staged. Basically what happened was they got off the planet, and then they double back and we're going to go rescue someone. And you're like, who? And they're like, yeah, they don't tell you. You're like, who are you going to rescue?
Just like a friend. It's no big deal.
That's basically what they're like. They're like, we're gonna go rescue a friend. So you guys are gonna go do this. You guys are gonna go do this. And the whole time, like, who the fuck are they rescuing? And then they get in there, and it's Angela. She's been held captive.
Well, it's nice to see her do something. Bendis is leaving that book apparently very soon.
Is he?
Yeah,
well, he's writing 6 books. I'm not surprised.
It's shocking, though, of all the books he wrote, he stayed with Guardians the longest. Through multiple regime changes and new rollouts, Bendis stuck with Guardians. It's funny that he chooses now to leave it.
But Guardians is an amazing direction. They liberated an entire planet, freed everyone. I loved the book. And then they're literally flying to their next mission, and Carol calls them up. Hey, I need your help. And they go to Earth. And I'm like, oh,
God damn it, Carol.
Is it shocking anyone else that the Guardians, these, rough and tumble space outlaws, are like, we sure love you, Captain Authority, Carol Danvers.
Yeah, I don't fucking get that. I also don't understand why she was like, I need your help on Earth for a Earth matter. And they're like, sure thing.
Well, but I mean, that's not the first time they did that. Like, if you guys remember during Hickman's Avengers, they showed up when the Shi'ar were like, hey, all these universes are coming to an end, and it's because the Earths are crashing into each other.
I don't blame
That made
them.
sense.
I don't blame them for wanting or being eager to help. I blame Carol for asking them inappropriately.
Also, Storm is weird too. Oh, Captain Marvel, I love how you profile people. Me, from being a marginalized race, sure does love it. But I bet if Ulysses had a vision about mutants, I'd be mad at you. Thankfully, that hasn't happened yet.
All right, so we got to pick up the pace here because we still got a shit ton to go through.
Yeah, big week.
And I already know. So basically, Guardians is so ever since Civil War II. I did like a single crack that they made in the Civil War II book where their ship gets blown up and the whole matter's resolved. And Rocket's like, you owe us a ship, and none of your crappier ships.
That was funny. I dug that.
All right, so Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns.
Benny, let us talk. Let us sit down and commune.
I feel like I can go get a smoke.
Okay, so hold on. I'm just gonna spoil bomb this one. So because I've been following it since the beginning. So DCU, Hal Jordan goes off to be a renegade. He's like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to go put all the blame on me. But while he's off there, he gets the most powerful willpower device in the entire universe and somehow begins to lose himself to willpower, literally becoming it. And then at the beginning of the new Rebirth, he finds a way to channel all of that into a single ring. But as we discovered in issue 5 of the Hal Jordan run, I believe it was 5, he still has this problem with willpower. So the Green Lanterns that come back from their other universe, they've ended up back on the War World, where we discover that Sinestro is now ruling the entire galaxy, but Hal Jordan is not going to stand by with that. So this book is literally something we've been wanting since the end of... When was the last time they fought? Was it the First Light? Was it the Wrath of the First Lantern? Was the last time they fought against each other? Yeah.
I think it was when I think it was at the end of the story arc when he went to Earth and took Hal Jordan, made him a Green Lantern again.
No, it was Wrath of the First Lantern. Wrath of the First Lantern is when the last time that they actually went at it, and it was one of the best lines ever, where Sinestro says, where Hal Jordan said some kind of comment, and Sinestro's line was, even though we fight, we will always be friends, Hal Jordan. And this doubles back with this one, because Hal Jordan shows up on the planet, and Sinestro's like, fuck it, Hal Jordan here, and he takes in Parallax, and he pummels Hal Jordan into the ground. It was amazing, with all of this power, and then all Hal Jordan was waiting for was the evacuation of the planet.
Dude, okay. No, when I was going through that, I love that shit, because they were like, the one thing I loved about what Robert Venditti did with this is he's like, I want people to know at the end of this story arc how fucking beast Hal Jordan is. And there was this amazing point when the Sinestro Corps, when they encounter Hal Jordan for the first time, those two dudes, And they're like, hey, Sinestro, we found Hal Jordan. He was like, get the fuck out of there, man. You guys can't stand against him.
Yeah.
And so like they fight him anyway. And so he's like, what the hell's going on? He's like, we're fighting Hal Jordan. He's like, you inept. Like, I told you to leave him alone. So like the rest of them show up. But to me, like the best part, like my favorite part of this whole story was when Sinestro was giving his monologue about how much of a pain in the ass Hal Jordan is. And like he's charging his ring. Yeah. And then it gets to like 1,000% charge. And I was like, fuck!
That's because Hal Jordan doesn't use a ring anymore. The ring is a focal point for him to focus on. But basically, Hal Jordan was only waiting for them to evacuate. He was waiting for them to get like Guy Gardner and all the people who don't want to be blown up out of there. And then he just, like, in one of the most epic moments ever, like, Sinestro beats the fuck out of him. He beats him down. And then Hal Jordan's like, okay, yeah. And he's like smirking the whole time. And Sinestro's like, I'll give you one opportunity. You can stop now and join me. And Hal Jordan's like, and he gets the word, the planet's evacuated. And he just turns into willpower. Turns completely into it. And explodes, taking out all of Warworlds.
Dude, that was one of the coolest things too, because there was a point right before that happened when Sinestro realized that he was so outmatched, and he's like, what was it? He said, Hal, he was like, you need to stop this. And he was like, nope, and then he blew up the planet. But okay, so here's my question, because you could probably answer this. Here's my question: if Sinestro was fighting with the entirety, having absorbed the entirety of the Parallax entity, his ring was at 1,000% its normal charge, and Hal Jordan still beat him, does that mean Hal Jordan is more powerful than Parallax?
I have a feeling this is just going to resolve that previous storyline, and that's it. Like he's expended all the energy, is what I have a feeling, because you can't leave him this powerful.
Yeah,
you can't have a guy that can just destroy planets.
It's retarded how powerful he was. But dude, okay, so here's the deal. So you're coming into this story as a guy that covered everything with Green Lantern up to this point. So you know the Green Lantern story. I didn't. All right. So I literally hit Benny. I hit Benny up like once every 6 months, and I'm like, I want to do this particular story. What do I need to know? He was like, oh my God, you got to go back and read all this shit. Dude, with like Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, there's like 3 things you have to know. Like Sinestro expended, or it looked like he expended a ton of his energy fighting the Pale Bishop, whatever it is. Lost lanterns and Edge of Oblivion, sent the lanterns into sent them into the past of the universe before it started to die, when it was dying. And then you have to know that Hal Jordan fell on a sword so that the citizens of the universe would stop hating on the Green Lanterns. He could take the blame, whatever, but then all the Green Lanterns vanished before that. There's like 3 things that you have to know to start this. Yeah. And I didn't realize that at the time, because I was like, dude, Green Lantern is so fucking daunting. Having said that, all right, yes, the fight between Sinestro and Hal Jordan was awesome. Yes, the conflict was cool. It was awesome to see like Jon Stewart pondering over what they were going to do and all that kind of stuff. Guy Gardner is a fucking beast. Dude, he was getting tortured and like he was talking shit, son. Like he was running his mouth. I was like, dude, not only that was so cool. Like, what is it that when Lysa showed up and he was like he's black and blue, he's being tortured. Like Lysa shows up and he was like, somebody needs to call the police. He's like, because the way you look is killing me. I was like, Gardner, you're a fucking beast, man.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
Dude, this story was I even
the way
said
it resolves, though, I'm pretty sure that we're supposed to assume Hal's dead right now because he blew himself up. We know that even if he is temporarily, we know that's not permanent. So I mean, it's Hal Jordan. You're not going to kill him off in the opening or Rebirth.
But see, like, dude, I got to tell you, man, like I even said this in the video. I'm actually got to go pee. Or you can go pee in a second.
I said we're going to let them talk about the next batch.
I said this in the video. Like, I did not realize how badass the Green Lantern mythos was.
I told you!
Like, I didn't realize how fucking badass
the reason why the Green Lantern is right at my wrist and one of the more prominent things on here, along with the Flash symbol.
Yeah.
Like, so, dude, if you guys hadn't figured it out from this, we highly recommend reading 1 through 7.
Dude, this story is fucking beast.
As a matter of fact, Joel and Caitlin, your homework is to go read those immediately following this podcast.
Oh, I already got them on digital. I'm reading through them right now.
I'll do it when my head feels better.
Okay, fine. We'll accept that. All right, so Rob and I need to go take a pee break. So here's the list you guys have to go through. I want to hear Hellblazer, if you've read it, Power Rangers, and Spider-Man and Deadpool. Go, Joel and Caitlin.
Power Rangers is good.
Wait,
continuing
Rob, we're
on
go
the story of the Black Dragon. Lots of fun stuff going on in that book. It's good stuff.
Get some good shit.
I'm gonna go pee and also do Suicide Squad. Be right back.
Okay.
Dropped Squad.
Squad was
Why?
okay. I couldn't get too into
was
it, but
so
it's gonna.
slow is the thing,
it's
and there's
gonna
none of
have
that
to be something we have
political
to pick
intrigue I like.
Yeah.
This issue of Suicide Squad, things kind of picked up a little bit. We figure out who Hack is, why she's in Bella Reeve. We figure out what they're actually going to do with Zod. Amanda Waller has gotten it up her ass that she's going to try and make Zod a member of the Suicide Squad.
Oh, Amanda, I love you so
Oh.
much.
Oh, Amanda.
Oh, Amanda, your
Oh.
fist has touched my heart.
Oh, Mandy. Why
Well,
is
that's the kicker,
Mandy's
like-
always a crazy bitch?
Even if we dropped off Suicide Squad, like we're gonna have to pick it up because Justice League versus Suicide Squad will tie into it.
I was gonna say that, as far as I can tell, that's gonna be its own contained thing. So I don't think you have to pick up Justice League or Squad.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if the events of Justice League and the events of Suicide Squad led into it.
Well,
I
probably
mean,
have
there'd be some kind of tie-in.
I dropped Justice League too because I hate that book so much right now.
Oh yeah, I'm
Just-
already
Why would you drop Justice League,
Rob,
dude?
did you
Justice
forget
League
to go
was
pee?
good, man. Like that's fucking crazy.
Just-
talk.
Boring as
Justice League, after a
shit.
while, gave me road rage.
Okay,
That
did you
book
guys
is
go all the way? Did you guys go
boring.
all the way down to Suicide Squad?
Well,
Yeah, yeah, we're talking.
we just kind of skipped over to Suicide Squad.
Spider-
skipped
you
over
ever
the
read Spider-Man
hill, landed-
Deadpool? No one read that.
I didn't read it, but it's on my stack. I usually read Spider-Man
I'll
Deadpool because it's
I'll
good
read it later.
and it's consistently good.
Yeah,
I like Spidey Deadpool a lot.
If you get a chance, I think it's issue number 6. You had Isn't It Romantic, and then you had 2 filler issues, and then I think you had 2 more issues, and then it concluded. But there's a tie-in issue where they go to Hollywood to fight.
Oh, I already covered that. It's hilarious.
Yeah, the salmon guy,
Yeah.
and what is it, Salmon Stuntman? And dude, it's the most ridiculous thing. Like, oh, dude, I tried to cover it, and I was like, dude, I can't cover this. There's nothing to talk about here. But it was hilarious because it's like Donald Reynolds or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
but no, dude, I like Justice League. I didn't think Justice League was bad. Some of the first story arc was kind of weak, but it's obviously
Justice League didn't come out this week.
no. I'm just talking about in general. Like we were talking
Rob,
about.
we are
Justice League
already
past.
over our time by 7 minutes. We need to keep moving.
Fine, keep moving then.
All right, so Suicide Squad, pick it up or not, Caitlin?
Oh yeah, I picked up. I mean, I liked Suicide Squad. I'm actually really interested in seeing how Amanda Waller plans on turning Zod into one of her squad members, and how that's gonna royally fucking backfire. And
Oh yeah,
then
that'll backfire.
the new character Hack kind of freakazoids her powers. She can turn
Oh,
herself
wow.
into Data and hack into anything, and her origin story is really interesting.
Huh,
So-
maybe I should pick it up then.
It was good. It's pretty good
I've
shit.
been reading it. I just didn't get to this one yet.
like
'Cause
it.
instead, I read Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm Damian Wayne, and you're all dumb.
this is probably one of
Yep.
the few issues
Damian
of the
Wayne,
Rebirth.
motivational speaker, trademark.
This whole issue is picking up where Rebirth left off, which it makes me wonder why this wasn't just issue 2, because it definitely does not feel like, oh, you can just jump in here. You know, it's definitely feels like you needed to read the Rebirth.
I mean, a Rebirth issue would have drawn in a lot. If they had taken the Harley Quinn route and it was just Teen Titans #1, I think Rebirth probably would have drawn in more sales than like a #1, traditional #1 anyway.
Well, either way, what ended up happening with this is it just the whole issue is just him explaining his reasoning behind kidnapping them all in the Rebirth issue. That's basically all
Throwing
it is.
hella shade while he does it.
Yeah.
Damian Wayne is a shady bitch. He's just got an umbrella with him wherever he fucking goes. You might as well start calling him the Penguin.
The only I'm loving this so far. But my favorite part is the art, and I'm really concerned because the artist
yeah.
left.
Yeah.
Oh no! Why?
Yeah, he bailed out. Creative
Why-
differences.
What?
Yeesh.
I don't know, but
That's unfortunate.
I really wanted nice things.
I like Damien is having a midlife crisis because he turned 13. I'm
Yeah.
13. Time to get my shit in order.
I love how that's the reasoning behind all of it.
Oh,
It's
Master
like, why
Damien,
is
you're a
Damien
teenager.
acting like such an asshole? Well, he's 13 and he just got access to the internet, so
Talk about a great new group of villains they seem to be setting up to. It was like an old kung fu movie where it's like, I have trained you in the Black Citadel your entire lives.
Yeah.
Now it is your time. Go the demon's hand and do my bidding.
So that's Teen Titans. It's really good, but I definitely say get the Rebirth. We already talked about Titans and their continuation of the story. About the whole story is just getting Wally back into everything. The only complaint I have about all of that is just how readily available Wally is to be like, I fucked everything up, and how complete opposite to that the entire team's like, no, Wally, we love you. We just remembered you 3 issues ago, and all those wonderful times we've had together.
We promise we love you.
But I have a feeling that's just going to be kind of like a side effect of this whole trying to shove Wally back into the proper timeline.
Yeah.
Because they're doing it right. They're bringing back the Wally we know. They're doing it like the Superman, where they brought back the one we want. They're not just like, oh, and here's your other cousin, the white kid, red hair. He got powers.
We're making a big deal of it, everyone. It's part of the story, we promise.
Yeah.
I feel like Wally at some point is going to be like, guys, I really just sometimes feel like I don't belong. Don't worry, Wally. We all feel that way sometimes. Love you, though.
Especially when we're yanked out of our timelines. We all feel that way.
So that brings us over to Totally Awesome Hulk. Has anyone read it but me?
I really wanted to read it because.
All right. Okay? Here's my question: is it worth reading right now? Because I read the first story arc and it was kind of weird, but I couldn't get into it.
Not really. It's the Civil War II tie-in. He's chasing Burton around. Cliff Barton. He's chasing Barton around. Black Panther tries to stop him. Maddie gets in trouble, so he jumps over to save her. Black Panther shows up trying to arrest him again because he's chasing Barton. And then basically like, oh no, I need your help, Black Panther. Help me defeat this guy. And the only cool thing that came out of this was they're like, oh, he got angry. He finally let loose, and he was like jumping 100 miles an hour in one leap. Yeah.
Wow. See, I feel like Greg Pak had this amazing story planned out for Totally Awesome Hulk, and then Marvel editorial told him, you got to tie it into Civil War II, and then that screwed it up.
Yeah.
Ain't that the way for a lot of these?
I can't wait for Civil War II to stop ruining things. Hopefully it doesn't ruin Christmas too.
Well, hey, it's not going to be done until the end of the year, so
it's going to ruin Christmas.
I don't want it to ruin Christmas.
It literally comes out like 2 days before Christmas. So.
The comic event that ruined Christmas.
Why? I feel like instead of coaling my stocking this year, if I've been bad, I'm going to open my stocking and see copies of Civil War II.
You're a mean one, Mr. Civil War II.
So as a weekly poll gifts, I'm going to give everyone who's on the weekly poll a gift. I'll send you all 20 copies of the finale to Civil War II.
Hey, good kindling, man.
Yeah, get a nice Christmas fire going. Thanks, Benny.
I mean, I'm going to cover Civil War II because I think people want to know if it was really that bad.
No, hold on. Let's be honest here, Rob. You're going to cover Civil War II because that's going to be a shit ton of views, and you want the views. Let's just be honest. Because I'm going to do the same thing, Rob.
I'm doing it for altruism. I want to do the right thing.
If my coverage of Civil War II is me ripping it up and then giving it to my really cute dog named Thor to rip up, will I get lots of views?
I will say this. One time I ripped a comic on camera, and to this day I get questions of when will you rip another?
Cool.
Oh, and Joel will appreciate this, even though he's broken and glitchy and unable to talk.
Really?
Yeah, you're gone.
Seriously? That sucks. Am I better now?
Hold on.
Yeah, you're sitting there with just a shit-eating grin
Did
on your
Hack
face.
turn you into a data stream, Joel?
I just hung up and called it back in.
Oh, you just dropped Joel out of the call?
It was glitching the whole call up.
Yeah.
Okay, re-answer, Joel. Jeez.
But no, it's what were we talking about?
I broke everything.
Joel broke everything.
Joel did break everything.
He ruined
All right. Well, anyway, no. So it's okay. Civil War II.
Yeah.
Did anyone read? Well, Awesome Hulk is good if you're reading it. It's not a good jumping off point at all.
No.
Jumping off point like the Hulk did until the Awesome Hulk. He was jumping.
So the next question is, as we're trying to get Joel back into this call, I'm gonna go splash page while we do this. Did anyone read Wonder Woman while I try to resolve this?
No.
Dude, I mean, I like what.
Don't worry, I'm doing my Venom rant. You people asking, it's coming. Figure we'll close out with that.
Greg Rucka, man, like I understand what Greg Rucka's idea is. I just don't understand why it had to be done this way. Why would you alternate between the present and the past? Tell the past and then tell the present.
Yeah.
Unless there's some grand poobah with issue number 12 that links everything together, I don't understand why that needed to happen. Why don't you just do 6 and then 6?
That's my problem with Wonder Woman. I like the story, but I keep losing interest because we got to wait so long for the next part.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the trade now. I've been waiting for the trade for a while just because I can't. The flipping back and forth and having to recover my bases and my details with everything, it's becoming a hassle to read it. And I feel like the trade is going to be really good because the jumping back and forth in time is a really cool storytelling technique. but it's only good if you can follow it in one cohesive unit. It's not very fun in a single issue format.
This is the kind of thing you do with a weekly series. You bounce back and forth as a weekly series. The problem is that it's like all the titles are all bi-weekly. So you like if all you care about is the new origin of Wonder Woman as it's being told by Greg Rucka, you got to read it once a month. And it's just like, dude, what in the hell, man? So it's that it drags on much longer than it should. And that I think is going to be
I wonder if this was an experiment.
It's an experiment.
Someone had to do the twice monthly thing. And it's working really well with Batman and Superman doing the consistent storylines. But I wonder if they were like, well, you know, it would be easier if we just told 2 different stories, 2 different artists. Will this work? And I think that may be what Wonder Woman's trying. Because he probably had already both stories in the works. And they were like, well, okay, we can't really get this artist to do it twice a month. But what if we did 2 of your stories, Greg Rucka, at the same time to get it twice a month?
The result is that it's going to be an awesome trade, and that reading Wonder Woman feels like when I'm waiting for my paycheck to come every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
no, it will make for a great trade. You're 100% right about that. I mean, I personally, if it's not an artist issue, if it's not an issue of the artist just has a hard time keeping up with the workload, then I would have made them just like double size issues. I would have just released like you know, just like giant size.
They're apprehensive about that.
I know they're really apprehensive. I know it's not something that they usually do. I mean, it'd be like asking DC to do backup features. Like they don't really do backup features, but I still think it would have made things easier because right now, when you have Action Comics and you're getting 2-issue story arcs, when you have Superman, you're getting 2-issue story arcs. You have Batman and you have Detective Comics, which are being released. So you basically get you get Detective 1 week, Batman the next week, and so you're just constantly getting an influx of Batman and Superman. But then you've got to wait a month to read the backstory of Wonder Woman. It takes away from the effect.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, go ahead, Caitlin. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I just looking forward to the trade.
It's gonna be good.
Caitlin's sad today. Caitlin, you're on a podcast. I'm just helping you with your memories.
Okay.
We're all talking about comics.
Just want a reminder.
You had a concussion 6 months ago, but we're helping you through it.
In that time, I've become the mayor of my small town. Do you remember that?
Joel, nobody's going to believe that.
Even with slight brain damage, no one would believe. Yeah, you're right. I'm too smart for that.
My moderate to severe brain damage. That's not going to
All right. Let's talk about Venom. Number 12.
We're doing the thing.
So, 13. So, first off, let me tell you the story about Venom. Tell you how this went.
Benny's hair is already broken.
So way back in the day, which was 2012, we had Flash Thompson receive the Venom symbiote, and he became a secret Avenger working for Captain America behind the scenes known as Agent Venom. And we had an amazing superhero that was a character being redeemed and capable of things that Spider-Man couldn't do, working behind the scenes as like a secret agent with Venom capabilities.
An amputee.
And an amputee, learning how to be a superhero when he really was like, basically taking the example set by Spider-Man, learning how to deal with the Venom symbiote. We then went for 4 years developing that character, making Flash Thompson a hero, a great individual, someone who's amazing and can do what he wants. And for the first time in like 20 years, 30 years maybe, getting backstory and history and development on the Venom symbiote, turning it into an alien race known as the Clintar, making it a space agent whose entire purpose is to save multiple planets, and actually giving history to the symbiotes and explaining why they're evil and why they're good. All of this came together in this run, where he had to go back to Earth to fight against Spider-Man because Spider-Man hadn't seen him as this new crazy superhero, and he runs into Mania, which was a girl that he run into, given part of his symbiote to, and the symbiote got cursed with a demonic demon curse, and was like dealing with all that crap. And we finally come back, we answered all of his questions, we solved everything, he fixed everything, it all came together, and it wrapped up the run from All New, All Different Marvel, where he was a space knight, which I don't get still, but
that was a weird choice. I think they blasted him into space way too soon.
They wrapped it all up in a beautiful package with a bow. We have a fully developed character, a fully developed race, all the major loose ends tied up beautifully. And what do they do now? What does Marvel do now with a new character who has a following that people want to know about? They get rid of him. And Marvel
Trade him out for a new
2.0,
guy.
in November, we're getting a new Venom book where the symbiote somehow got separated from Flash and forgot about its adventures as a space knight and redeeming itself over the last 4 goddamn fucking years so that it can do what? Go attach to a villain again and become evil Venom? Why? You made like 9 other symbiotes who can be the fucking villains. You made Carnage his own book where he's basically a psychopathic freaking villain. You've made Toxin. You've made Anti-Venom. You have all these other things. The one that has development you just throw out the window? And it's not even like this is a 20-year-old character that they want to reinvent. This is a new character to begin with. This would be like taking Miss Marvel and being like, and she's done. Please pass the costume on to the next girl.
I like Benny's freaking out about this now, even though we knew about the change back when they came out with the original newer titles and things.
No.
So shady, Joel.
We didn't know about the change. We just knew that there was a Venom. And they were keeping quiet who it was. That's what they were. They weren't deciding what the situation was. They were just like, it's a new Venom. He's going to be a badass, and he's going to be going back to his roots. And you're like, okay, probably going to be Flash Thompson. No, apparently it's fucking not. If it's goddamn fucking Eddie Brock again, I'm going to go to Marvel's headquarters. I'm going to kick the fucking door and strangle someone.
You know there's a 60-40 that it's going to be Brock again.
Oh, my God. Just why? Marvel.
I feel like...
No, but here's the argument. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
make-
matter if it's Eddie Brock, if it's bad, if it's good, whatever the fuck it is. Your whole point is diversifying and getting new superheroes that you can put your money behind. And you have one that people like. They've accepted. No one at any point has argued about Flash Thompson being fucking Agent Venom.
True.
And you're throwing him out the window to go back to evil Venom?
Yeah.
Why? Why?
You got me.
Caitlin, answer me.
I just feel like this should be a meme where you type out this rant and then end it at, what would you do? What would you do? And then right next to it should be the button and it says, fuck it up with the hand coming down.
But that was an amazing rant, though, Benny. You could have finished that with, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here.
That was a pretty rant.
Yeah. I'm trying so hard to understand what Marvel's doing and being on board with these changes and trying out your new versions, your new Thors, your new Hulks, your new Avengers, your new Vision,
Marvel, all of this could have been well executed. That's the thing, is that in concept, all of these things could have gone really well, and it makes you excited for it, because when you hear the concept, you're like, yay, I would like all of these things. And they're like, okay, I'm giving you a half-assed version of the thing that's actually not the thing at all, and I lied to you so you'd buy it. Are you happy with me? And then
it also feels kind of weird taking away the superhero cred from, like we said, like a disabled veteran. Like, that's cool. Yeah. You don't get many stories about that. Why would you take that away from him? I hope he sticks around.
You want to have classic Venom? Make it. You've established that there's practically an infinite number of Clintar out there. Just make it another one if you want to go classic evil villain Venom. You know, that would make an interesting plot. Asian Venom is tied up doing something with Mania, and this other Venom's tearing up the world, and everyone assumes he went evil again. Yeah. I just wrote a fucking plot, Marvel!
Give me money.
I would like it if Marvel did something else.
And then here's the question. Okay, I mean, are you doing a rebirth? Are you rolling back to what we all remember and loved back in the day? Okay, well, I have a laundry list of shit that needs to go back before we change Agent Venom.
For real.
Right, Rob? I have a laundry list of shit I want back in Marvel before we get back to Eddie Brock Venom.
Hey, how about that Fantastic Four? Remember them? They were big briefly.
I think Eddie Brock Venom really is the priority here, especially after what happened during Civil War II. Eddie Brock Venom really should take center stage in regards to a reboot and character interest. And...
Am I allowed to cry? Can I just start crying right here?
We're here for you.
Okay, because so here's what happened today, and this is why I'm ranting about this today. I saw the cover. I saw them say, "Oh, we're not going to mention who the new Venom is." Oh, that doesn't always fucking mean that it's going to be someone different. It doesn't always mean that. It doesn't. You know. So I was like, whatever. I'm going to ignore that. And I read the final issue today, and it wrapped it up so beautifully. It was such an amazing conclusion to all of it, not just Space Knight, but Agent Venom. It wrapped it all up. And then to do this.
And then I had to come along and break your heart and be like, yeah, you know, there's going to be a different guy, right? Here's an article.
And I was like, wait, what? So I read the article, and then I went to go look at the solicits for the next 3 issues. And it's all about, oh, He's separated from Flash Thompson. What is he gonna do with this new person? Evil and more vicious than the previous Venom. No, I don't. You have Carnage for that. Go do that with Carnage.
Which is a good book, actually.
I don't know, man. I mean, can we segue to the Ultimates real quick?
Sure, why not? Go
Rob's just been quietly biding his time.
I want to get this off my chest.
Oh.
I want to get this off my
therapy.
chest.
Comic therapy.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, people. When it comes to the realm of comic books, art is half of the comic. Art is half of what makes comics great. The art right now in Ultimates looks like garbage. It looks like trash. They need to bring back Kenneth Rocafort. More so than that, Civil War II is fucking it up so bad it's not even funny. All right, look. The reason why the Ultimates was so good when it started out is because Al Ewing's like, here's what's going on with the Marvel cosmology. Here's the, all Molecule Man, all that kind of good stuff, and it was cool and it was interesting and it worked. Now, we don't get that. What we get is Monica Rambeau, America Chavez, and Carol Danvers sit down and have a girls' night out sorting out their problems. I don't give a fuck about that. All right? What I want to see is what Galactus is doing. What I want to see is how things are going with the Marvel Cosmos. Are they going to reboot? Are they not going to reboot? Are characters that we know and love, cosmic entities, are they going to play more of a role? Galactus did two things in this story. He told Connor Sims, his new herald, that everything lives, things aren't going to die, and then he sends him to find the Ultimates and to have them become part of his heralds of life. And that's it. Nothing happens. This is the problem with events like Civil War II. No one cares about Civil War II. No one wanted Civil War II. And the problem is that when you give us a shitty comic book series, it's a cash grab, it's based on a poorly done story, on a movie that was mediocre at best.
Minority Report was better, though, according to Rick Jones.
No, you end up with this
that movie sucked.
Crappy, like, Frankenstein, half-assed patchwork quilt of nonsense, and it screws up everything else around it. That's the problem. Like, I loved this story for the life of me, but now, like, I don't even really want to read it anymore. There's, like, a handful of stories that are good in Marvel right now, because Secret Wars and like, Vision's one of them. Vision's, like, one of the only good stories right now.
How was the conclusion to Vision? Because it's the last book that we didn't cover.
Vision's badass. Like, it deals with the fallout.
Here to talk about this.
It deals with the fallout of his wife, basically kind of going insane. It answers the whole question of what happens when a robot makes a robot. Does it work out, or do they have souls? And it ends pretty well. I won't spoil it.
Caitlin,
but the fact remains
you're nodding.
What?
Caitlin was nodding. I assume she read it. I was getting her opinion on it.
Huh?
It's okay, Caitlin. I know we've gone for quite a while today.
Yeah.
That's fine. Rob, go ahead.
I'm really out of it now.
No, you're perfectly fine. You are.
I'm just
for those of you who don't know, the reason why Caitlin wasn't with us last week, she had an accident and she has a concussion from it. So the fact that she joined us today is incredible. So everyone in the chat, give her golf claps.
Little golf claps.
All I'm saying is this: there's a reason why, and I'm going to throw this out. There's a reason why DC smashed the shit out of all different Marvel. And I know it's not pertaining to a particular topic. I know it's not pertaining to a particular topic, but I just want to say this: editorial mandates to create stories based on sales don't work. Just give people good stories. I can guarantee you the shit that's coming out right now, if the writers had just been allowed to write good stories and weren't required to create Civil War II, you'd have some great shit going on right now. You'd have some great stories going on right now. You wouldn't have writers jumping ship. Marvel wouldn't be panicking. Oh my God, fucking, what's his name? Rick Remender's gone, and Craig Kyle and Chris Yost are leaving, and you wouldn't have all these panics if they're not gone already. You wouldn't have Marvel panicking because writers are bailing out. You wouldn't have Brian Michael Bendis writing 6 different titles because he has to, not because he wants to. Like, you wouldn't be having all this crap going on. Like, you'd be having great stories. That's all people want. People don't want to rehash the shit they haven't seen before. If the story turns out to be good, cool. But just give people good stories. That's all they want. It's just good stories. And we're not getting good stories. We're getting half-assed, rehashed shit. And the stories that could be good are not good because they're being forced to tie into an event that's not good. Like that just irritates the shit out of me. It pisses me off. That's the only thing, because right now, and you can see it. You can see it in what we say on the show, not just me ranting. You can see it when Benny and I are getting hyped as hell. Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns. I've never read a Green Lantern story in my life. Never have I sat down and read Green Lantern because it was daunting, because it seemed confusing, it was difficult to get into, and I didn't want to start with a story arc that started 10 years ago. But I sit down and I read Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, and I'm like, this story's confusing as shit, and I've got to spend a day and a half of doing a combination of reading comics and Wikipedia articles, and it's fucking amazing. They release an Action Comic 2-issue story arc, and it's still better than the shit that they're coming out with at all new, all different Marvel. Help me understand that. Like, explain that to me, and I'll explain to the people on my channel on how that works. That's the issue I have. It's
marketing content gone amok. I mean, that's really what it is.
But it doesn't need to be. Marvel's not an independent comic producer. They're not somebody fresh on the scene. They're not trying to break into the comic book industry. Like, no producers like that. Valiant Comics did a fucking amazing job taking characters that they've had for 20 years and launching them for a new era of comic book readers. Like, Image Comics writes good stories. Marvel is one of the top two. Like, they weren't made 3 weeks ago. I mean, it's like...
makes it so infuriating, because they have all the money in the world. They have the world's biggest safety net. They have Disney backing them. They could start doing some real awesome experiments. They could start creating some really innovative content, but they let the marketing team in the room, and they let too many of them in the room. And
I tell you what,
fucking everything up.
Let Disney sell Marvel and let's see what happens. Let's watch how fast the stories get good. If it comes out that Disney just sold Marvel off and decided to get rid of it, let's watch how fast those stories get good. Because in moments of desperation, people do some pretty fucking amazing things. So I would love to see Disney come along and say, you know what, we're getting rid of Marvel, we're cutting ties. When the shit hits the fan and suddenly we start getting some badass stories. And that's sad. It's sad that Marvel doesn't create good stuff unless their backs are against the corner. You guys know why comics were so good in the 90s? Because Marvel was on the verge of bankruptcy. That's why. That's why they were good.
Comics sucked in the 90s.
No, Marvel Comics were great. No, Marvel Comics were fucking good in the 90s.
Did they
it was
hold
all about
up?
Marvel in the 90s.
Yeah. Age of Apocalypse, the Onslaught Saga, like the X-Men in general, the Avengers were pretty solid. The Fantastic Four weren't bad. Like, dude, Marvel Comics was doing pretty good in the 1990s. And then once it got around to when everything was recovering, then that's when shit went down. That's when it all just started to go downhill.
Yeah,
that's when that shit
sure
started
hasn't
to crash.
aged well. I can say that much.
It's funny because it's totally flipped. DC was screwing the fuck up in the 90s, and Marvel was kind of the titan. Like, everybody loved Marvel. Like, when you talked about comics, that was the really the only thing anybody read. And now it's kind of flipped in regards to comic books, not movies. But I mean, it's sort of flipped nowadays because DC Rebirth is conquering everything and Marvel is just blowing chunks. And it makes me wonder, is it going to last a full decade like it did in the 90s?
Well, you know why DC Rebirth is doing well? DC Rebirth is doing well because they have a comic book fan running a cotton-picking show. That's why it's doing good.
Yeah.
Because you have Jeff Johns behind the wheel. Do this, and this. And I promise you guys will do well. And what happens? DC does this, and this, and they're fucking crushing it in sales. And Marvel takes a corporate standpoint. Well, what would our shareholders like us to do? Hey, shareholders, what Spider-Man story would you like to see? Well, I really like Clone Saga, so let's bring that back.
No, you know what it is? It's not that. It's them going, well, everyone still talks about Clone Saga. Let's do that again.
Well, they don't talk, like, people still talk about One More Day. Nobody wants to see that story again. So I'm just saying, like, well, I guess you get renew your vows, so whatever. But I'm just saying. I mean, it's
John's our Lord and Savior, according to Dat Silly Skitty.
Damn Skitty.
But I was going through the Ultimates, and that just happened to strike me when I was reading it earlier, and I just wanted to vent and get that off my chest.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I
think that's a great closure to the show, unless Caitlin needs a rant. Do you need a rant, Caitlin?
I need a nap.
With that concussion, you may not want to take a nap.
So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us today. We've gone on way longer than expected, but we did cover all of the major releases. For the most part, I believe so.
Yeah.
believe I did.
All the great big Grand Poobah stuff. And
This was an amazing week to be a comic fan, though, because I don't think we had one book in here that we were like, that was fucking dumb.
yeah. There were a couple that were sort of iffy, but there were like a lot of them were pretty solid.
So everyone, don't forget to check me out at Comicstorian on YouTube, Comicstorian on Twitter. That is Rob at Comics Explained on YouTube and Twitter. That is Joel over at Copt Joel.
Ooh, that was almost a nasty thing you just said there. Almost, just a little bit.
It's Copt Joel at YouTube and Twitter. And that is That Sea Monster on YouTube and Twitter, regardless of the names beneath their banners. For those of you guys who don't know, I started it up and I was just lazy today. That's literally it. So
I'm Monster Pop now. Tiff
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Working your ass off all day today, I'd probably chill too.
There's nothing to talk about with the Wildstorm universe, Jiggy. We'll talk about that when they actually start coming out.
Yeah.
We should have talked about Young Animal, but we can do that next week.
Yeah.
I think another Young Animal comes out next week. But all right. So on that note, guys, thank you so much. And everyone, Alan Scott out.
Pleasant Alan Scott to you.
Rob, you started this shit.
Alan Scott?
Kaylin?
Alan Scott?
What?
Alan Scott out.
Alan Scott out.